it's a
Speak for yourself.
it was.
Yeah.
It's a big flush.
Not that tall.
Yeah, exactly.
Just put a box of stand on. You should be able to stitch up that part.
The same height as you are, right?
Speak for yourself.
Open the meeting at 6:31. Thank you everyone for attending. Have apologies from Councillor Pocock, can't attend. We have no leave of absence, no absence. Confirmation of council minutes, recommendation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held Wednesday, 21st of May, 2025 be taken as read and confirmed. Mover Luke, seconder Chris. Does anyone want to speak to those? All those in favour? Against? Carried, thank you. Go to page 15. Opening remarks. I guess I just wanted to cover off that we completed 4 community consultation meetings. Geranium on the 3rd of June, where there was 8 people attended, 4 councillors plus Jason. Lameroo the 4th, the 6th, where there was 3 people attended, 5 councillors. Jason was Crook. Pinaroo on the 10th of the 6th, there were 0 participants, 5 councillors plus Jason. And Parilla the 11th of the 6th, there was 10 participants, 3 councillors plus Jason. And I think even though the numbers weren't what we would have liked, certainly Geranium and Parilla were well represented and quite vocal and gave us some good feedback, as did Lameroo for the 3 participants we had there. They were quite good at sharing what they thought. So good exercise. There was some feedback about that, could we communicate it better? I think we could through a mail out. But ultimately it's probably people don't really know what they were coming there to hear. And I think that was probably the biggest thing. The comment was made to me by one of the councillors, if we moved something that was a bit radical, perhaps it would have a lot of people turn up. So hopefully we can get attendance without having to do that. Declaration of conflict of interest. There aren't any that I'm aware of. No? Okay. And petitions, there are none that I'm aware of. So we'll move into deputations. 7.1, Lameroo Golf Club water issues. Gary Purdy and whoever he wishes to be with him, just up at the front chair if you like there, sir. And the floor is yours.
No worries.
The rest of us say you
You can go and sit up with him if you wish to. Give him moral support.
Work his computer or whatever it was.
Massage his neck.
Hold his hand, Roger. No worries. Mr. Mayor, Southern Mallee District Councillors, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to put forward this deputation on behalf of the Lameroo Golf Club. My name is Gary Purdy. I am the president of the Lameroo Golf Club. We are led to believe that we are the only sporting club within the District Council that has to pay for the maintenance and upkeep of their pump and bore. We believe that the golf course is more than just a golf course. There are a lot of people locally that use the golf course for the exercise and well-being, and there are a lot of visitors that also use the golf course for exercise and well-being. Our Lameroo Golf Course, of course, is actual council land. We only lease it off of the council, and we do our best to maintain it to a very good standard. We now find ourselves in a position that our pump needs a major upgrade for our volunteers to be able to water our course efficiently and effectively, and especially over summer. Our current pump is inefficient in the fact that it's actually delivering 200 litres a minute back into the ponds, which for most of summer we haven't been able to reuse due to the fact that the ponds have been too low for us to be able to pump out of, and council have only recently installed a filter in there to allow us to pump out of there now, but it still is too low, as I understand.
Just for clarity, your pump is a submersible pump that's pumping up and out.
Correct.
Just so guys understand, that's all.
Yeah. So there is also a council pump there, and when there is enough water in the dams, we utilise that on the golf course. And in the past, we've had to utilize that and pump onto our golf course, even when it was flooded, due to the fact that we can't let those dams get above 1.6.
That's right.
So a couple of years ago, we had 3 or 4 fairways that were totally underwater and out of play for a considerable amount of time. Yeah, so we have been quoted. We haven't in the vicinity of between $20,000 and $25,000 for the upgrade to put the pump to a variable flow,
Very speed.
very speed.
Yeah.
So therefore, we won't be wasting water going back into the pump, and it will allow for. Currently, we have trouble if we get too much pressure, our pump goes out, and therefore we don't know what has or hasn't been watered. Whereas this will water no matter what, and will slow up and slow down to water properly. This year, we have had a fairly substantial power bill, and we were also wondering if the council get a better rate, if we could potentially reimburse the council, if there was any way that we could council
Access the pricing of council.
access the pricing that council gets, as we know other clubs do as well. And
Just on that, can I just another point of clarification? Because obviously the guys come and met with us, and then we said the best way is to put a deputation to the chamber. But for clarity as well, the dam, if I remember it correctly, was that it used to be able to be pumped right down to a sump that's in the dam, and that went through to the other end at Lake Roberts or wherever it was. But that has over time built up with sediment and whatever. So the not being able to pump down was because of 2 things. One, that mechanism all become clogged and dirty and not being cleaned out. And the other one was that your suction was on a floating pipe and not able to get down to that level. So even if that was fixed, the pump's not down in the sump, which would obviously mean that you could then use the dam a lot more practicably rather than leaving a heap of water in it.
Well, can I say that you're sort of right, but council put in the floating
Yeah.
section.
Yeah.
It wasn't us.
We
used to get it from the bottom. And of course, with all the algae and weed build up, we had trouble suctioning, and then turtles were getting in and blocking the non-return valve. And then council put in a floating suction.
Yeah. So I guess I was trying to make the point that if that an option is if that was cleaned back up the way it should be operating and done the way it used to be, you would get a lot more use out of the dam, even at the 1.6.
yeah, and it would allow us to.
So the sump was at the lowest point of the dam,
Yes.
and now the floating
Thing is quite a bit
is
above.
only 10 meters out from the pump.
Yeah.
So that could be
Okay.
extended
Yeah.
out above the lowest point
Yeah.
and pump more there.
And if that mechanism was clean so that the sump is working and you don't have the turtles coming in and all that sort of stuff, would that mean that the pressure issue on your current bore is because you can't pump into the dam and it depends on how many things you've got open, or is that regardless, it doesn't matter, that's always going to be a problem?
That's always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
2 separate issues.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering if the dam was more usable and you did bleed water off in there at the correct rate, does that make the pump you've got work properly?
No,
If you could use the dam properly?
No.
No, okay.
no, 2 separate issues.
Right.
Yeah. So, and the other thing, the other deputation was, we just want to reconfirm that we aren't liable for the fact that we are pumping effluent that is untreated out onto our golf course, because it gets pumped across from Lake Roberts across into that dam, and it's untreated. Yes, it is mixed and diluted, but it's still untreated. And we are pumping that out onto our golf course, and we have to pump it out onto our golf course to keep the level down.
What do you mean untreated? Because that was designed so that the sun kills the bugs in the water when it was put there. But I don't know if it did, but that's what it doesn't need no chemicals. It's supposed to be the sunlight kills all the bugs in the water. That's how that was designed.
But I think what they're trying to clarify, sorry, I didn't mean to, they're trying to clarify is they received a letter from council some time ago saying that they were okay to do that, and we said it was all good.
Mm.
That's long expired, and they want clarification and recertification of what they're doing, and the water that's being used is acceptable and legal and
Shandy,
compliant.
shandy, is that called?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that system was put in 2013 and it was a reed system. They put a lot of reeds in there and the effluent was to go through the reeds and that was to clear it up. But the reeds died and there was no, I don't believe there was anything to do with sunlight. It was purely a reed system. I've still got all the paper, the sheet on it here. And it just failed. It just didn't work. The reeds died and it was just raw effluent sitting in those ponds. The evaporation
Mhm.
would probably make it richer than
Yeah.
anything else. And then that raw sewage was pumped into the main big dam, which we'd put out in the course, which of course is untreated.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was due sunlight, why
Yeah.
would anyone go and, why wouldn't every town in Australia just use
Well,
sunlight for?
I thought it was designed for that. Are you worth looking into that? Yes, because it was.
Well, we're going to have to. That's why they're here.
Yeah.
So we've got a responsibility. You know, that water is there, and we're telling them they can use it. So
Gordon Hancock always said, cemeteries full of people dying from sucking it and licking their balls, like golf balls. Yeah, but they never died, but that was always shandy water, wasn't it? So,
Jeez.
no one ever died, but he used to joke about it. But,
Do you know when sometimes you should just be quiet?
no, but
anyway, back on the point of the deputation. Yes. So
that's
So-
pretty much our deputation and
and I think the one that came through was also about signage and sprinkler heads and so on. So you're currently on your ground. I'm assuming you don't have anything identifying that's recycled water that's being used.
no, not at all.
So that was the third part that was in there.
We've got signs in, there's a toilet on the golf course saying not to drink the water.
Yeah.
in the-
Yeah, no, I'm just going off what's on here. We also believe signage and light purple sprinkler heads and exposed pipe work need to be observed on the course. Yeah. Just referring back to the meeting we had and discussions which were just chewing the fat, so to speak. It was raised then that is there a possibility or a use to have water storage so that you can be irrigating with a pressure pump above ground instead of a submersible, because obviously those two things are quite different in place, they're variable. And it's not saying we're going to do either of them, but it's just trying to find out, has that been investigated? Is that an option? Do you want to come back to council with something more about that, or just obviously using the water that's, it's cheap to pump up the ground if you don't need pressure?
Yeah, it's definitely an issue that we potentially could do, but financially, we don't believe that we would have the funds at the moment, definitely to.
We've been told this pump upgrade will make it way more efficient anyway.
Yeah.
Especially being very speed.
Yeah.
We'll be able to use 6 grains at a time or 2 grains at a time.
Yeah, so we haven't looked into the tank
Yeah.
scenario. We believe that's potentially out of our price range at the moment, and with the amount of people we don't have to keep our maintenance going, we would struggle to be able to implement that, we feel.
Yeah, that's
We do have a total of about 40 members. We are working hard to increase that. We are getting more people. We have had a fair few more members sign up here, which has been good. But some come and some go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is.
very good.
and question, is it particularly bad because it's a dry year, or has it been happening all the time, or is it just a bad year because it hasn't been so dry?
Well, definitely that hasn't helped. And,
Yeah, we've been using our bore 100% of the time. Like normally we would use the council water on the fairways and our bore on the greens and tees, but it's just 100% our bore.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we ended up with about a $7,000 power bill, which
For the last quarter.
for the last quarter.
Last quarter.
Which which is why we were wondering if the council did get a better rate, if we could get on that, like we don't expect the council to pay for it, but
Yeah.
if we can save some money, why not?
Yeah.
It was, so we can look into that.
Yep.
I think the council rate was looking at 9 cents a kilowatt hour, what we got quoted, I think, somewhere along the line, but.
Really?
On our house, we paid 30 cents.
Yeah, no, he's looking at the wrong number.
Mate, that was way back, way back when.
No, no.
Don't take
That's
that.
a free change.
Yeah. I think you find it substantially more than that. You're mixing up your numbers. It's more like 30 to 40 cents. I know the 9 cents you saw, but it's not.
Oh, okay. Control load. I thought it might be still.
Very good. All right. Yeah. So we've got that. Is there anything else you want? Any other questions everyone wants to ask? Clear on what I mean, obviously, this is about. Will we look at, so that there's 3 parts to it, which is it the only club that's being made to look after their own pump, and if so, why? Can we do about that? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is it correct that the sewage should be getting pumped out of the way? Is it safe? Is the system working as it's meant to be? And if so, are we giving them, not we, is council giving them certification to say that's correct? So you need to test and develop that. And then the third part is sub about signage and potentially some identification for recycled water, or not recycled, but sewage water being used. So that's the 3 things to be discussed. They come in and presented to Jason and myself. It really should come to a deputation at the meeting, because obviously we're in budget time. So this is not in budget. So this would all be stuff that's not there if there's anything to do. So there's a research element for the administration to come back and tell us, is this correct? And if so, what can be done about it? Very good.
No worries.
All right. Thanks, gents.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, boys. Covered it off, Dave.
Yeah.
Happy?
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gents.
Ben heard all that.
And we turn over to you, sir.
Yes, heard all that.
Man,
Oh, yeah, sorry. We're not seeing you on the screen. I forgot you even there, Ben.
Yeah, definitely here. Definitely here.
Yeah, there you go. It's up to you. No, thank you. You don't want to stay and watch the meeting just for the hell of it?
You got that, that's right.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
Not that hard.
Thank you very much. See you, boys.
No,
Yeah, well, Mr. Mayor and elected members, thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Open. Sorry, mate.
Yep, no worries. I'm actually putting an apology in for Mum. So this is on behalf of her. Well, as a family, I guess we're putting this in. So I'll just read what she's written down here, and this is quoting the way she's written it. So, Mr. Mayor, I am Dorothy Schiller, eldest daughter of Art and Gwen Bennett. Art constructed and donated to the council the Hensley Memorial Fountain located in Railway Terrace South. The Bennett family wished to renovate the fountain, being responsible for the project, including physical renovation and all financial costs. The proposed renovation to include a thorough pressure clean, including water nozzles on top of the fountain, which are currently not working correctly and bent, and careful removal of stones outside the fountain, and then supply and install of laser cut 3mm Corten steel featuring, so it'd be laser cut featuring mallee, merino ram, wheat bags, mallee fowl, kangaroo, emu and windmill. There have been 3 attempts over the years for renovation. In 2021, Pinaroo Community Inc. put aside $3,850 for council to restore the fountain by cleaning, painting underwater area and mesh barrier to enable water height to increase. Nothing happened. When the main street was upgraded, I was told by a committee member that they planned to get council to remove the stones. Nothing happened. Pinaroo Project sought professional advice regarding mosaicing the bottom area. She visited and scrutinised the proposal and advised it would not be successful. We are seeking approval and any help council may provide to accomplish this renovation to occur safely and without risk to council. And she's just written down the bottom here, the fountain is not currently working, which I think she said was just in the last few days. So that's, yeah, but I think up until recently it was, yeah, still running water.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So I think I'm guessing one of the stumbling blocks of, yes, previous attempts may have been, or I'm assuming may have been, the ability for individuals to do work on what's perceived to be a public or council asset, and therefore all these limitations and stuff that are in. So I guess the first question would be to administration as to whether we can overcome some of those hurdles, because we're aware of some of them in the past, i.e. induct people into be volunteers or whatever
that's
the
right.
council and be able to therefore cover under our auspices and get rid of all that unnecessary layers.
That's right. Through you, Mr. Mayor, we did seek some advice on it, and it came back just ridiculous. No.
Yeah.
And realised that no, it's not real crazy what we're doing. What you're proposing to do is crazy. Just as long as you're inducted, we'll just have to double check our volunteer policy and that sort of stuff. But if we can somehow get around all of that and induct you in, and then you follow our rules, you use our stuff. I think it's wonderful. I will also mention the $3,850 we gave back to. We never actually took that money. That's because it was like they're giving us a grant to get stuff that's on our land. We went that's actually ours. We went that's not right. So, we gave it back, is what I'm told.
So in terms of obviously the induction, is there much involved in that process?
It's probably videos and filling out of forms and doing a couple of quizzes, that sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Bit of paperwork.
So really basic, just 2 or 3 hours or something.
I would say, even that, hopefully.
It'd be 2 hours. It'd be the same contractor induction that all other contractors would have to go through.
Yeah, right.
So this was given to council years ago, was it?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, late 70s, around that sort of period,
So I think suffice to say, as I think the council's contribution would be in kind to sort of say, look, we can do all this stuff, said use our stuff, to make it happen, and you guys do the
risk assessments, etc.
Yeah, and ours is just about becoming a bit more flexible. And if the current volunteering policy is prejudicial, then that's quite easily fixed at a meeting. It just can't be. It has to be at a meeting, so it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it can happen by next meeting if that was an issue. But that can be reviewed and reported back pretty quick.
Say no too quickly. I don't think in this instance we need to.
We can make it work.
So in terms of using your equipment, so that would be a preferred option. Like obviously we have some equipment ourselves, but you'd probably prefer to use council equipment, or
No, not really.
It's the risk assessment on the equipment and the press and all the stuff that we've got to do. So that would be the big stuff. Is the only,
because the equipment you're talking about would be pressure cleaner.
Obviously that. Probably the more major stuff would just be getting rid of the rocks. So I mean,
that'd be lifting and risk assessments and that sort of stuff. So that wouldn't be too hard. It's more the equipment, so the pressure washer, the maintenance records, and the all that sort of stuff that would have to be checked and stuff.
Would have had to send somebody by with the machine just to throw the rocks in. It's not that hard.
Yeah, and it would look
it'd look a lot better.
It look like boogers, those rocks.
So in terms of that, so we would use a council machine, or you would maybe just have one of your operators come and we'd help them with that. What would you sort of see happening there? And obviously we're happy to use council equipment, but just not sure how that sort of works.
Yeah, well, we'd have to price it up and talk to Ben and how he'd prefer it to work, and Shiloh as well. But probably a little from column A, a little from column B, probably.
Through the chair, if I might, we're happy from an operational perspective to relocate the rocks if they're a safety issue. We'll just liaise with you in regards to the timing of it. But our guys would use the machinery and just move the rocks for you in consultation with you.
Fantastic. And obviously, we don't know when the rocks come out, whether it's going to leave reasonable divots in the ground. I suppose there's a couple of options there, whether we put some bark or something around it, or whether you prefer that it's reconcreted. I mean, once again, Mum's happy to pay for that too. So
I think to me it sounds like the best thing is to say, look, we're on board to working with you. And it's a matter of probably between direct with him and Ben, or him and Shiloh.
I'd say
it's probably you and Ben being that he's responsible overall for the thing, and just work out the make it happen thing. Because it doesn't sound like it's something we need to specifically allocate something to in budget terms. It's more about how do we make this work together and make this happen.
For sure.
So I think that's a good outcome. So
Would be great.
Yeah, is there
And
any,
then just through you, just if you wanted to approve the laser cut, or you're happy
I'm
the
happy.
designs and stuff, or you're happy for the
yeah, what he's saying is whether we need to approve the design of the stuff and that. I don't, I think the people that donated the fountain who are having the things cut, I think we can accept that.
Yeah.
I think we just accept that that's all fine, and
Yeah.
so we can. I'm not sure if there's an official way we respond to this, because obviously there needs to be something to say that it's good to move forward. So you know how that will work, and whatever that is. But I don't, unless anyone else has got any specific things, I can't see any reason to get in the way of it.
No.
Just let them do what they're doing, and
Probably best if we stay out in the way and just let it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you can do it in the middle of the night,
Wouldn't be the first time. So pretty much, yeah, if we speak directly to Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just or no, and Ben may put someone else in front of it, whether Shiloh or someone else. But I think if you just start with Ben, obviously we've heard it all here, and he's heard it. So
Okay.
and there'll be some kind of official response to say, hey, go for it.
No worries. Fantastic.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
Righto, presentations, we don't have any. 9 elected members' reports, so my update. Probably only a couple of things that I'll mention in there. You can take most of it as read. I think the piece in there about Jason and I attending local government association meetings, presentations, and the email that I drafted and I think I CC'd you guys into. It just further highlights that as a non-growth council, we're on our own. No one gives a rat's, including the LGA.
Yes.
Now I'm hopeful that the work that we're doing there will change that, but it'll only be from an advocacy point of view. It's not actually about getting any money. It's just trying to get them to advocate better for small rural councils. But don't hold your breath. And also the piece of work with Paul Seeger, South Australian Country Fire Service. He's actually done what he said he was going to do. He's now engaged with. He's gone directly back to his chief of the service. He's got meetings with chief of service and deputy of SAS in the next week or so to raise it with them. Jason and I met with, as Jason's report says, we met with representatives of SAS up here, and Paul is looking to further this group of interested parties, which is people from cross agencies, so SAPOL, SES, SAS, and CFS, who are interested in changing things for the better and understanding that volunteers need a way to communicate up without being told to shut up and go away. So he's working on that. He's working on developing a forum, which would give those key people attendance, plus some representatives from local government, plus some volunteers. And in addition to that, he's asking to present to the CEO and Mayor Forum that's coming up in July, just as an update, and then hopefully presenting a plan and something after the first forum at our LGA AGM in November. But trying to elevate it so it becomes an LGA-based thing where all mayors and that get exposed to it, which can only be a positive thing. It doesn't mean we're getting an outcome, but it means we're getting progress. So I think that's well worth highlighting that he is doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and being the deputy chief, that's a good thing. So aside from that, I would say council receives and notes the content of this report. Obviously, it's moved by me. Do I have a seconder? Luke, does anyone want to comment? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Elected member reports. Do you have any?
Yeah, I got one.
Campbell?
I attended a hack meeting this month in Karoonda. They're doing some excellent work, including running community information sessions on Parkinson's, melanoma and dementia. These are all free for people to go to, which is a really good thing to do. They're also looking into getting a midwife and postnatal care back to the area, which would be a really good thing. They communicated it would be great if council could do something to help with the severe housing shortage. Their main problem is Karoonda, which obviously isn't in our district. So, but they are having issues in Lameroo. They actually have vacancies with their housing in Pinaroo at the moment, so that could be an option possibly for us to start housing. Also, they communicated they had a staff member who they really want to employ, but they can't because they couldn't get their kid into Cogs in Pinaroo. So yeah, they wanted to say it'd be good if there'd be more spots available. Something they wanted to communicate. Yeah, it was a good meeting.
Neville, you done anything? No, Luke? No. In that case, do we move that report in? Yeah, the elected members reports be received and noted. So Campbell's obviously moving it second. Neville, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 10 reports from committees. We don't have any. 11. Here we go. Budget review 3.
Page 20.
Officer Jason Beaton, CEO.
Yep. Budget review 3. So the recommendation is that council receive and note the contents of this report and adopt budget review 3 for the 24-25 financial year. So we've spoken a lot about it already, so I will take it as read and ask there any questions we've got Vanessa on the line as well, or did you want me to go through?
Well, no, I think though that we've had discussions in the budget meeting, which was public. So now we have to, we either have to move an amendment if we want to change it, because obviously that road funding is being now allocated to the roads. Or that's the discussion at the workshop. Now we have to decide whether that's the case or not. So my question would be to the governance people, is that it's in line with this? Is it an extra point? Is it a variation? Is it a don't pass this and pass that? How does it need to work if we want to do that?
So you just want to amend something?
Well, so yeah, so the discussions were that the monies that were corralled from the capital projects were going to be reapportioned to the sealed works projects for the 2 roads instead of going into cash and loan payments. So that work has been figured behind the scenes with Vanessa. So now we need to figure out, is that receive and note the contents of the report, adopt budget review 3 for 2024 financial year, including that change? Is that how we do that?
That I think that would be one.
Yeah. Okay. So, and is that a variation, or do we change it here and then vote on it?
Yeah, you can just change it here.
Okay.
Someone can move it with the whatever you want in there and then vote on it.
Okay. So what we might do, being that you were part of those discussions as well, do you want to move it as a change, because this is your report obviously, or do you want one of us to move it as a change?
An elected member has to move.
No, but just change the report. No.
That would be say it.
Okay. So in that case, I would like.
Jason can advise you on wording if you want to.
No, that's right. So in that case, I wish to propose an amendment, or not an amendment, changing number 2 to be adopt budget review 3 for the 2024-25 financial year, including, help me with the figure, Vanessa,
$784,921.
That's correct.
be reallocated from cash and loan payments to sealed road repairs. Is that the right terminology, Vanessa?
No, it's not repairs. I'd probably just leave it as 784,921 be allocated to sealed capital works.
Sealed capital reallocated. Oh, okay, just to sealed capital works.
Yeah.
Righto. So if I just read that line again so that you're happy with it, Vanessa and Ben, adopt budget review 3 for the 2024 financial year, including 784,921 to be allocated to sealed capital works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we want just to seal roads, or can we?
No, mate, that's going.
That's already been allocated.
Oh, that's
yeah. Because they're the 2 projects that are currently there.
Yeah. Don't get any ideas with that.
Do you have any issues with that, Ben?
No, that's all good. So
okay. Right, so I'd like to move that with that change. Do I have a seconder for that? Luke? Now, does anyone wish to talk about it? Obviously, we've been through the report. Chris? Good. David?
Is that talking about, like, I'm just looking at this DA consultant. What is that again?
Development, planning.
So that we can't adjust that. That's not a thing that's flexible, is it?
Not in this we can, but we definitely are moving forward. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cleaning contract, you adjusted that too, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's to 25,000 a year.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's all.
We're speaking to everything or just to that?
Budget review,
Yes, to the whole.
budget review 3.
Which is, that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yep, that entire piece, budget
I
review.
was
So
a couple of questions.
come back to you. Yeah. I'll come back to Chris because he misunderstood what we were asking.
Yeah, so are we also moving that the rest of the depreciation doesn't go into payoff lines and that's going to sit, allocate that?
That's in the budget.
That's in the budget. That's budget.
25/6. This is business review 3 this current year.
This is the changes.
This is current year.
Yeah, currently. Yeah. No,
And the other question I had was a statement of comprehensive income, and there was other income there. I just wondered what that was.
Is that $10,000?
Oh, it was 104,000. 104. Seemed like a lot.
Beckel?
$108,000. Vanessa, do we know?
104,000
at the top of the head.
Or 108, yeah.
It's a multitude of things. Just a moment.
Was 108, yeah.
Yeah, so in the final 3.
And any clarification on that CWA building thing? There's 11,500 there. Or... Page is that?
That's for the accounting for repairs to CWA building built for 6,300, which initially costed the wrong account. That's the one you mean?
Yeah, that's the one.
Plus,
I just wondered what that meant.
We'll let Vanessa give the answer to you.
To the other one.
First one, yeah.
I just thought you might be able to answer that while we were waiting.
Okay. The first one, the plant, the 108, 40,000 of it relates to the diesel fuel rebate.
Oh yeah. I did have that down as a question.
Yep, 49,000 of it is the cross subsidisation, so the rent from the childcare back across to council. And then there's minor incidental.
Yeah, well, those major ones I was wondering. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your next question is
CWA building. I just wanted.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
The bill for 6392, which was initially costed to the wrong account, reconciliation now identified an adjustment is necessary to bring it back into the correct account, I suppose. Is that the one you want clarified, not the 5150 for the roof?
Oh,
yeah, that is
well, have we already paid the 5150? And
yeah,
we have.
I think so. The roof's been done.
So why we've got 11,000 there?
Because it's a combination of the both.
But it's future. This is a budget, isn't it?
No, this is budget review 3. This is this year.
This is
changed. So we're currently in BR3, which is budget review 3 for this current year.
Yeah, this is what we're using now, mate.
Okay. That's it. Yeah.
Ken?
Just in the gain loss on disposal line there, there's 246,000. Review of Campbell's asset register revealed some old assets disposed of. What was all that stuff?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting thrown into it here, Vanessa.
Sorry, Vanessa. I didn't mean it like that.
You run the council.
Yeah.
So a thorough review of the assets register was undertaken in particular with buildings this financial year. And as a result, we found some assets that were below the capitalisation threshold. We no longer have. One of them in particular was a council house, a piece of the obviously not a piece of the house, but a segment of the house was missed in the disposal when we did the gain or loss on disposal a couple of years ago. So it resulted in a surplus. The tidy up of the asset register now resulted in a deficit.
But that's
It's not cash related, it's below the line, yeah.
yeah, I wasn't.
I know you're going to
I
say
was
that.
deliberately not going to say on paper. It's the valuation change though, isn't it? It's not
money.
It's not money.
It's not money, no.
Well,
it's not cash is what I mean.
Well, I was
Yes.
going to bring up the same point as Campbell did, and that was that if you take that figure out, then we would be operationally potentially heading for a surplus with all those other amounts that have come down. But they're
No.
getting no,
No, it's below the line. So you have your operating surplus. This is an adjustment below the line.
It's the capital, what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means they didn't realise a surplus in the previous year then either. So why would we bother doing it? Because we don't pay tax. I don't understand what the point of it is.
Oh,
That was my
it's part of
same
the
query.
reconciliation process. So
No,
it's
I understand
accounting
that
treatment to
part.
reconcile the assets. Yeah.
But if you didn't do it properly in the year past and it created a surplus, you would imagine that somehow filters through to money somewhere because it is money. We sold the property to somebody and they paid us money and we were meant to transact it in the backlogs in a way that was right. We didn't. So surely if that created a surplus, this is a loss.
Correct.
No.
It is a loss, but it's not a cash. It's got nothing to do with money because the money was transacted in the year in which it occurred.
Yeah.
We work differently.
Well, what it probably does mean is in the year that it was transacted and the cash did come in, more could get spent because there wasn't the amount pulled away for the costs, most likely. Anyway, does that answer your question, Campbell? Because
Yeah, I'm not good.
Neville?
No, I just was disappointed about this couple of things, stuff to fix the roof on the CWA all costed 5,150. I thought it was going to be a few sheets of Scholastic, but I pretty enough of that. So
I think a lot of us weren't happy about that.
There was significantly more damage in there than like there was a lot of pinholes and a lot of rust. Got on it. It was a problem.
Yeah, I think speaking to what Neville had said, our concern was that on numerous occasions we've spoke with trepidation about spending money on an asset that we know has got serious issues.
Yep.
And you know, there were ways, including just putting some probably second-hand iron, just something to make it leakable. So I think when people saw that it had been completely resheeted for $5,000, it was like, well, it's just again another one where we've spent money on something that we're telling the people doesn't have a life. It is problematic.
that's all.
That's all. Luke?
Oh, got nothing nice to say. Keep your mouth shut. Move on.
No.
So doesn't vote. Oh, no, you're still going for that one.
I'll move it to a vote when we're ready. Settle down. Jonah wants to go early tonight. Yeah, look,
It's got two spare snits.
yeah, I think we have been through it. I think we've done it. So there's no point in raising anything else. I was the same as Campbell, that I still don't quite understand that myself. Money's money in and out.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. It's not money, it's below the line things. I have a funny feeling somewhere in the way it affects us. So I've moved it. We've got a seconder. So now all those in favour? Against? Which one are you doing, Luke?
Neither.
You got to vote.
He's abstaining.
Well, we don't have an abstention.
I'll say no. There you go.
Yeah, good on you.
Carried. Thank you. I can assure you Budget Review 4 won't look like that in probably August, like that. So 11.2, review of the basis of rating amendment, Manager Corporate Services, Tony Second.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So the purpose of this report is for council to formally adopt one missing rating category and rate on the dollar of the differential, which was absent from the final report on the.
I'm not sure if people are going to be able to hear you, Tony. You might need to just speak up a little bit.
Sorry, it's all coming.
Oh, there's a mic up there as well, is there? Sorry, my mistake.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that was absent from the final report on the review of the basis of rating presented to council at its ordinary meeting 19th of March. So it's quite a long report with a lot of information there for hopefully a simple resolution that we're after. But as you're all aware, you had a number of financial sustainability initiatives that included the rating strategy review. We had Corporate Secretary team jumped on that straight away. You had several meetings with Corinne. You even talked to the Governor General. We did public consultation. Corinne was engaged to do a number of things, including the final report. Unfortunately, when the final report was prepared and put together, there was one rating category that was missed. So if you can see through the attachments, talks about in one area there was 9, in another area there was 10. So just to formally fix it all up, we're just asking you to adopt it tonight, because this translates through to the rating policy and the annual business plan and budget. So we're just trying to get formal adoption and correction of what was missed. So the recommendation is to receive and note the contents of the report, and then in line with the March 2025 decision to change the rating system, adopt the missing rate and the dollar differential for the land use code of commercial other, which was absent from the final report, and set it to 100% being a percentage compared to the residential rate in the dollar.
Very good. Do I have a mover for that? Chris, seconder. Luke, does anyone want to speak to that? Neville's contemplating.
I just wondered why you said 100%. We've sort of had, didn't?
Yep, so I probably didn't touch on that. So I think when you went through everything, I wasn't at the final meeting though it was resolved, but you definitely wanted to look at silos.
Yeah.
Got a figure for that, and there was some discussion about the vacant land. You decided to change from 130 to 200.
Yep.
But it was our understanding that everything else would be at 100% for now, while you're settled, and then in future years you might pull levers from there.
But the one that was
I
missing.
can add a bit more to that. And what it was that it was actually there was only one business that was sitting in that category, and if we'd left it at 130%, they were going to be punitively hit compared, and no other business, even though they're operating similar enterprises, they weren't in the same land use category, and that was prejudicial to the company.
Yeah.
And that's why we said bring it back from 130 to 100.
I remember that happening, but I didn't realise that was one of the.
That's the one.
Missing.
Yeah, that is the one.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Luke?
No.
I just have one question, which is about the financial resource and implications. You've written in there, the council approved a budget of 17,000 for direct costs associated with the rate review. Report in March, indirect costs, in particular staff time, exceeded original expectations with attendance at council workshops, several other phone and Teams meetings and data extraction tasks, which contributed to increased demand on council's staff. So I guess I'm questioning, does that mean that there's a financial impact somewhere that I haven't seen that's flowing on?
We haven't detailed that in detail. It's not massive, but we did go over the allocated budget by a small amount, so there was extra cost involved.
Is that not covered? So because the note I'd written for myself is that we've already, in our budget, the wages are all paid and they're quite significantly under what the expectation was for this year. So I was curious as to why we would end up with a, if you like, a deficit on this side when the wages are a direct cost. We've already paid them.
Yeah, so we've been a reallocation.
It's just an allocation.
Okay. And it wasn't massive, but it just identified there was extra cost.
Okay. That's the only question I had. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Page 51. Policy and priority review rating, Tony, second manager corporate services.
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. So one report flows into the next. So this presents the highest draft rating policy for your review and adoption. You passed previous recommendation. As we talked about, Corinne Garrett from UHY Haynes Norton did the rating strategy review. She then helped us to review the rating policy to make sure that all your recommendations carried through into the policy. At this stage, we're presenting the policy with some changes as marked in the attachment. They include some simple things like the change of review dates in the table, some numerous minor editorial or grammar changes. There is removal of site value, which is no longer detailed in the Act. And I guess the main changes are about detailing or adding detail regarding the differential rates. That's the main change that we're presenting at this stage. Unless you think otherwise, which I'm going to discuss that more.
So there's 3 recommendations there: receive and note the contents of the report, adopt the draft rating policy, and authorise the CEO to make any formatting or other minor changes to the policy.
Nomenclature, no? Okay, do I have a mover for that? Chris, seconder, Luke, does anyone want to speak to that? No. Look, I just got one on page 55 or 3 of 14, whichever way you want to look at it. And that is about midway down, council believes that crossed out in adopting capital value as a basis for valuing land. Council believes that is more appropriately addresses the principles of taxation and is a better indication of capacity to pay. I don't think we should be saying that because there's absolutely no way that we can say that it provides a better capacity to pay. Someone could be sitting on a land worth high value, but getting low yield off of it and really struggling to pay. So I don't know the wording. I wrote something like council believes that adopting capital value as a basis for valuing land is the only viable solution, as we have no better options available to us, because we literally don't. That's the only option. We've only got 2 options, and that's the best of the 2.
As good as you could write it, I think.
Because I don't want people thinking we're telling them that they should be able to afford their rates, no matter what they are, just because of the value of their land. I think that's problematic.
Yeah, we need to change that wording then, like you said, so. Yeah.
So I don't know whether that poses any issues.
That policy, yeah.
Is it in the policy?
Yeah, it's in the policy, new policy.
Yeah, we'll remove it then.
Yeah, so I just, basically, it was already having, it was already having changes. So the policy was going to be changed from the council believes that, and then crossed out in, so it believes that adopting capital value as a basis for valuing land. And at that point, I think if it just said, is the only viable solution, as we have no other, no better options available to us, and then we just strike out the rest, we're not making a reference to their capacity to pay.
Yeah, perfect. I'll make those changes.
That is minor. Yep. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Take the photo. Righto, page 101, draft annual business plan and budget. Officer Jason Beaton, CEO.
Yep. Again, what I just said. Yeah, so we have been through this one a lot. Very well, I thought. I'm happy with the discussion and what went on. But yes, we need to, recommendation is that council will receive and note the report, endorse the 25-26 draft annual business plan and budget for public consultation, and endorse the draft 2025-26 fees and charges for public consultation. Did you want to do your amendment now?
Yeah, I'll do the same thing, and then obviously people can discuss what they want to do. So I'd like to move a, it's not a variation, it's just change the wording.
Yeah. Do you want it on the end of or another?
Endorse the 25-6 draft annual business plan and budget with
We have used something along the lines of subject to minor changes, which you would advise us the minor change.
Well, this is not minor though, a bit more. 800,000, I don't think it's minor. So I think it's, so what I'd like to say with the, with the total sum of, what's it called? Can't think of the bloody term. Depreciation, thank you.
Amendment of full spend of the depreciation.
Full spend of the, depreciation spend on renewal of existing assets.
Oh, so sorry. With the total sum of depreciation spend on
on renewal of existing assets. Yeah. So that's the official term for it. The variance of 847,000 to be individually determined. I'm trying to think of how to say where we put it.
Was that 807?
847,000, I reckon it was. Fine. Yeah. Although that's Jason numbers, so we better say just roundabout.
It is below the line too, you'd like to know.
That's not real.
You know,
Not
where
real
you're gonna
money.
get told to shove that line.
That is real money.
Do you want me to put approximately? Or
Yeah, do that because it's not going to be exactly that.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. If only, it's like,
Probably the use of the variance, or no, not use. What would you say? The application? Would that be right terminology? Application of the variance approximately 100,000 to be determined in coming meetings.
Just pop for public consultation. Sorry, keep going with what you're going. Yeah. To be determined in Q3. That doesn't stick us to a particular time. Yeah, and just move for public consultation to after annual business plan and budget.
okay.
That was my fault. I told it.
No, that's we'll get
Like
there.
that.
That's what I would like to see changed.
Yeah.
The rest is kind of all a bit in around. Do I have a seconder for that? Chris? And does anyone else want to speak to it or change anything or put anything forward? Chris is merely reading but shaking his head.
No.
No. David?
No, it's just that some of that money was not spent because it was supposed to be spent on renewing building assets. Like it might be a while before we get our building asset plan, asset review done. Could be a good idea keeping some of that in the bank for next year. If we're not spending any renewal on it this year and next year, that could add up to like we're about 600 grand under this year, 800 grand next year. Could be 1.4 mil we're supposed to be spending over 2 years on buildings that we're not. Could add up. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some of that in the bank.
Nothing.
I know what you're saying, but yeah.
If we, sorry, can I speak? So, it's just yeah, if we spend all that on roads, like I know probably a lot of you guys want to, are we going to then spend that extra amount on buildings?
We might be spending less on buildings, you never know. It depends how the report comes back. Yeah, don't know. I think we might as well spend it while we can, while you get value for money, because the value for money is getting less all the time. So that's, yeah, it's sort of losing out if you don't spend it, get your values, money's worth out of it. That's all.
Yeah, look.
is this about everything that's in here? Or?
Yeah, this is about the entire.
Yeah, I think we're spending 800 grand on what we come up with in the next however long. Yeah, we've got ways and means we can come together. If we save some of it, put some of it away, or yeah, that's fantastic. I think more accountability needs to be taken in administration with things. 100%. Like getting to this position to where we are now has been a shit show, and I don't think any of us can sit here and say it hasn't been. I'd like to see some actual accountability take place. So that's all I have to say. I've been warned about saying anymore. So
if anyone didn't see, he's almost slipped me the bird, I think. Righto. Yeah, well, I've said my piece at the beginning.
I've just got one comment to like that on asset sustainability ratio. I think you need to say whether that's good or bad. Like people reading that off the street don't know whether it's good or bad.
I'm going to answer that if I can. I mean, the reality is, David, that those ratios are only as good as the data that they're based on.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing we've been talking about, is because of the asset management plans and all the key data that drives it not being correct.
Yeah.
And not being correct, it's not fraudulent. No one's doing anything wrong other than the information's not informing us correctly on depreciation. And therefore our asset renewal ratios are all wrong. When we fix that, like next year's budget, that's going to fall through the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. Or all I'm saying is like when people read it, they think, oh, 124%. Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's not true.
Can you find someone that reads it? No, beautiful. No,
Yeah,
recommendation.
we should put out.
And there is a set of from here to here that is meant.
Yeah, I know, we know
Yeah.
that, we know that, but people reading it don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good,
no,
yeah.
good.
It's a good point. It's a good
Good
note.
point.
All right, all those in favour? Against?
No, I'm good.
Carried, thank you. Uh, 162, report for total expenditure prior to adoption of 25/6 annual business plan and budget and corporate services.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Purposes reporters for council to approve the expenditure of funds and authorises the chief executive officer to expend funds in accordance with the draft annual business plan and budget. The period 30 June 2025, with anticipated adoption date of 16 July 2025. So normal procedure, we try and work through, budget deliberation with the hope of adopting in June. Usually that's what we try and do. I think the last time we did an adoption in July was back in COVID times. There was lots going on in those times, special provisions, council were taking a lot more time. So I guess this is just a simple report to, obviously, we're not going to adopt till July, but to make that known, and I guess give the CEO some assurance to continue business or what's the word I'm using for? Business as usual, until we actually formally adopt that budget. That would be a small period of time where technically we don't have an adopted budget. So there's the 4 recommendations there.
Take those as read. So a mover for that. David, seconder. Neville, does anyone want to speak to that? All those in favour? It's carried. 11 report 7.6 corporate services update. Page 164.
Thanks again, Mr Mayor. I guess this is a first report of some monthly reports that we'll be doing from now on. It's just to give you an update of different things that are happening in the corporate services portfolio. We've provided the usual finance updates that you would see through the bulletins. We'll be doing it through council meetings now. I guess just some other items that I wanted to highlight were the meeting we had with the SCOSA on the 6th of June. So we had the interim meeting with them, obviously we're having the SCOSA review this year, so let's go through that process. I get some other payroll and HR activities that's being absorbed by other members of the team at the moment, other people that work in my office, and I'm doing a bit of the HR stuff at the moment while we work through some recruitment processes. In childcare, we've had some recent success with the approval of some additional sustainability funding. There's about $42,000 there. And I think when I finish writing this report on Thursday, we had some other really good news on Friday. We have finally received a new funding agreement for $993,000 for the next 2 years of operation, which is fantastic. And that includes some increased money for salaries and also guarantees that we can fund the managers for the next couple of years. So that's a really great outcome.
It's an increase of what percent?
I don't have a percentage, but it's 229,000 more than the previous agreement. So it's only a 2-year agreement. We have been advocating and fighting for a longer agreement, hopefully 5 years, but we've got a 2-year extension. They've just been doing 2 years, not 2 years for a while now.
And does that lead to increased places, like more kids can go?
It helps us with salaries. I mean, we've still got to recruit numbers. Only increase places in the service by getting qualified staff to increase the ratios.
So that's what's limiting at the moment is the staff.
So we want to get back to 5-day a week care, but we need to get more diploma employees in place so that we can keep getting more people into the services. So that's our long-term goal and focus. And then just another thing to point out, probably some information about WHS and risk management. There's a lot of work happening in the WHS space. Our office is now working 5 days a week. We're making some really good ground in that area and being well supported by Ben and his team. There's a lot to happen there, and we're moving in the right direction. So That's my report and update. I'll move that and I'm happy to take any questions.
Do I have a mover? David?
Yeah.
Second to Neville. Anyone want to speak to it? Chris? David? Anyone?
No.
I've got probably more comments than questions, although a little bit question. In the report, you say there on page 164, June is the second time that further detailed information regarding outstanding rates has been provided as requested by elected members. Active debt collection activities are ongoing and elected members should note that the fourth quarter rates notices for 24-5 financial year were due for payment 10th of June. Significant amount of payments have been received in the last 2 weeks, as well as increased interest for information regarding payment plans. I guess I just wanted to note that, yes, that's factually correct. But I guess one of our big concerns was that we found out about unpaid rates kind of almost by accident, and weren't aware that it was anywhere near the amount of money accumulative over the years that it's owing. And that certainly shocked me to find it was that amount of money. And I guess it also led me to think that we must literally write that off year by year. So every time we end up with a deficit or a surplus, it includes whatever underpayment we had in that year, because we're still not seeing a liability carried forward in any of our budgets for unpaid rates. And that's hundreds of thousands of dollars currently. So I guess I'm concerned at that. I'm concerned that we had to find out about it. So I just want to make the point that now needs to be an ongoing thing. Those sort of things should be brought to us because that's significant. And it also should be public knowledge, not individuals. So I will comment that in this, and I believe it's in the public documents, it does have a list of individual properties, which I'm not sure should have been in the public domain, but I'll leave that to you guys. You're the experts. But certainly the bulk figure should be, in my view. So that's first. Second was about the loans, and I guess it's just to reiterate, to make the point that we've had clarification today through our workshop, that those outstanding loan figures, one, are going to be different to what's in this report now because the decision's made, but that those outstanding amounts on those figures were still sums relative to the works on the main streets and the swimming pools, whatever it's from those projects. So we still have to collectively find a way to pay them down over the coming budgets. And I just think that's a good thing for transparency for people to know that. And the third one was in information technology on page 166. You've mentioned councillors having ongoing issues with dropouts and slow response times associated with infrastructure. There are budget bids in the 25-6 budget to help address this. And then you go on to talk about managed service provider and that you'll be potentially looking at other solutions. I just wanted to make the note and comment that to make sure that we are looking at these things with a different set of glasses and not just replacing a provider of similar service, because we will not find the savings we need as a council to offset ratepayer increase in rates if we don't look at a different paradigm. So we have to look at, and I know there's already been speaking about, what other generic services can we use, because it seems as soon as it's got local government written on it, we pay a premium above a premium above a premium above a premium.
This is more, sorry, just to through you. Yeah, this is more about our infrastructure.
Yeah,
is all of this, and it's knackered.
But again, I'm just making the point that we look at the big picture and we don't replace a piece of infrastructure and find out tomorrow we don't need it, or that we're getting infrastructure that's going to do the thing, that we're using cloud. That we're doing all these things to say, what other options do we have? That's all. It's just a comment. Like I said, it's not an accusation. It's just we're going to have to remind every single time, because we need to find significant savings to offset the increases that are coming for ratepayers. Apart from that,
can I have one more?
Absolutely. Go.
I just want to reiterate what's going on in the work health and safety stuff. It's not something that's been mentioned in much before. There's been a mountain of work being done. Ben's been fantastic. Denise is doing a fantastic job. So we've started from a long way back with having 9 months or so without someone in the role, and everyone's really working well together there. The boys are even into it as well, aren't they? They want to see the changes, and they're all into the meetings. I went to the work health and safety meeting the other day too, just to let everyone know that it's one of my top priorities as well. Everyone should go home from work. So I just want to mention about safety and how it's not taken for granted.
No, absolutely. Something needs to be done. Absolutely. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Page 177, infrastructure service update. Ben Wright.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman. Mayor, here's a quick update from Infrastructure Services. So it's around the grounds. So hopefully this report will improve over time. It is our first one. So we're going through a capital works program. So we talked briefly on that in our budget meeting this afternoon. So I got update on Colcomai Road. There's detailed design plans which we received the day of writing this report, 11th of June. It's attached in the documents for reference. It's based on geotechnical, water, and a design principles to get rid of the stagnant water on one side of the road. So we're just doing a specification. Next step will be going out to tender. Hopefully we'll have a price back very shortly and we can put that to council for their review. Target Well Road, we are still progressing with maintaining the failures until we can finalise Colcomai Road. We hope to get back to council very shortly on updated pricing for that. A reshedding program, there's a quick update. We have finished Allenby Road this month in June. All our invoices are now in, so that's giving us a very good indication of how we tracked. You can see a couple of minor, I'll call them overspends, but they are more related to labour, overheads and plant recovery allocations, which will be smoothed out when we do capitalisation. So yeah, we're basically on track there. It's showing a $39,000 deficit, but that's more wages from an operational point of view. We've got a quick summary around the grounds of our operational and maintenance works. We had a couple of sit-on mess pump failures, which we are replacing. Cemetery still, we still dig our own grave sites, etc. So that's still progressing. Parks and gardens, we've switched out over the month of May and June from our, irrigating. Now I've had some rain, so we've, dealing with wet ground instead of dry ground at the moment, which is awesome. Good for the farmers as well. Town maintenance, we did lose a staff member at the end of May. So we're now one member down. We'll be recruiting from July onwards to backfill that position. Sport and rec, with the sporting season coming up, we're spending a lot of time or some additional time mowing for the footy season, etc. Signage, we've done a lot of our replacement renewal signage in rural road areas. Based on the council resolution previously, we're now switching to township signage, main streets being our first priority. Toilet maintenance and cleaning, we do have our own toilet cleaner, which is progressing through. We had a leak at Lake Roberts Caravan Park, which we have replaced or reinstated. Quarry operations, we've still got some reinstatements to happen at Lehman's Borrow Pit. We have a contractor organised for that. Due to their availability, that's been pushed out. Litchfield, there's some discussions, ongoing discussions with the property owner there. We have an outstanding works that needs to work through that. Unseal road maintenance, as per the elected members' bulletins, we document all of our road patching, unseal road patching. That shows our level of service, whether green is achieved or orange is work in progress. Gives a summary of our wages, overheads and costs based on our maintenance of unsealed road budget. So we're currently tracking, we've got about $200,000 surplus there. We have reallocated some, fuel savings in budget review 3. In terms of our patrol grading, a list of all our patrol grading roads in our financial year 24-25. Green shows when we graded roads last year. Black is when we've started this year. So to have 2 graders north of Pinaroo, 1 grader currently in Geranium area due to some concerns raised by residents recently. And we also have a reshedding crew has been put to scarifying works. If you have a look on page 191, that is where our reshedding crew or our scarifying crew is heading. So it's completed works in Trowbridge Road. My understanding, we're almost finished Schiller Road, hopefully today. they'll then work back along Schiller, heading west, along our east-west council corridor. So, and ending up in Geranium, Hammond Road and J. Bucknorth Road around August to do some scarifiering works there. Vehicle permits, just for information, we're still receiving quite a few access permits for heavy vehicles. We are very, I guess, advocative of getting movement of freight around, because that's part of our KPIs for the industries. So we're working with, I guess, the people that are for transport purposes. SA Power Networks have advised there's some upcoming works of relocating a stove pole on Cock Road at Lamaroo. So there's notifications in the attachments there. In terms of a council resolution, Geranium South, Target Well Road and Pfeiffer Road, we did a traffic safety review based on council resolution. There's a report attached, which is Sprout. It's giving us a number of recommendations based on a couple of casualty crashes, some signage upgrades, some line marking, etc., and some longer term items as well. So we're looking at doing some short term works and coming back to council with some longer term options in future budget. So, and hopefully that's about it. Any questions?
We'll get it moved first and get it in, and then we'll ask you questions. So I have a mover for that. Neville, second Luke. Start with Luke.
With your wing rows, mate, why are we leaving about a 500 mil difference between where the wing row finishes and where the edge of the road was?
In terms of driveway access, are you talking about?
No, just in terms along the sides of the roads. The wing rows are being left about 500 mil, even a metre in some spots.
Yes, okay, yes, I understand.
On the edge of the road, like
inboard.
Yeah, inboard. So I'm having to drive over a double hump to get into driveways.
Yes. So,
but can I just add into that, Ben? But also,
it's
farmers going down the road are finding it difficult to not drive on the wing road because they can't pass somebody because it's restricting the width of the road.
Yeah,
as well.
I'll take some examples on notice, but I guess the formal response is they would normally leave a windrow at the end of the rubble part of the road. Now we know that the shoulder is used, which is generally sometimes not rubble, and they'll be trying to leave a windrow there so we can then, I guess, patrol grade later on. So we do have available rubble there. So, but yeah, we will take your concerns on board.
And the other day when I sent you those photos about the windrows being left in the driveways, has that been fixed up now, or?
Yes, so I've spoken to both coordinators. We've relayed that to our 4 grader operators. It's not something that we aspire to in the future. So we've brought out the book of how you patrol grade roads and re-inducted or re-consulted our staff to make sure that vehicle access points, whether they're into a paddock, a house or business, are maintained. So, but thanks for sending those through, and we have followed that up with our staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just congratulations on the scarifying. It's done a really good job on the roads that I've driven over this lately, so it's really helped us out a lot. Made some good roads, bad roads into good roads. So congratulations on your job. Well done.
Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. And as we said, we are working west and picking up those roads that we did talk about offline, which is Pfeiffer, Beehive, etc. and
Beelitz, yeah, good.
Campbell, no, David.
I was going to say there's been 3 rollovers on that corner. So you said 2. Hey?
Target Well corner.
Yeah, Target Well corner.
I think
yeah,
too casual.
And a number of cars at 2
properties.
Yeah.
So just through the chair, just to clarify, in terms of my response in regards to casualty crashes, that's in terms of black spot funding criteria. They need to, for us to be able to access that funding, there needs to be 2 fatality crashes or casualty crashes, which we have experienced.
I reckon there might have been 3, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're not discounting, and it has to be between a year series. So not discounting there's more incidents on that corner. We're just saying that we do know that we meet the threshold, which allows us to then put some more proposals up to get some additional funding to come up with some better solutions. But short term, we've got some short-term solutions that should hopefully assist it.
Do it.
Yeah, Ben, in that report, they have, looks like they've acknowledged under the long-term enhancements that there is an elevation issue in the middle there, which whereas locals were all well aware of. Previous reports that we saw early on in our term said that there was nothing wrong with it. So it's good that that's been acknowledged. And just on a grading coming in tonight, Claypan West Road has just been graded. There's a number of holes still in that road there. There's just a bit of rubble's been put, like they've just graded a bit in where the clay's broken through on that. Those sections are going to be worse for wear again within a week or two, no doubt, with the traffic that gets on it. It probably needed some patches of rubble on that. But I understand you're pressed for time to get around and grade. But just be aware that you may get complaints that they've graded it and those holes are still in there.
Yeah, through the chair, thanks for that. We do take your comments in regards to the elevation, and that's some of the additional work we can do for Tarrywell and Fife intersection. You also note there's some crash barrier suggestion as well. Depends on how the chamber sees that. We'll give that advice or some comments back to the consultant, and then work through that over the next couple of months. In terms of our patrol grading, yes, we know that it's only just rained and we are theoretically dry patrol grading. It's not our best solution at this time, but it is trying to cut down some of the requests we're having, but also mindful of we are collating a list of roads that do need rubble, and these will be put on there for as soon as we finish patrol grading, we can then run some trucks out and spread some rubble as well, similar to what we did earlier this year. So thanks for your comments.
There's a couple I've got, Ben. Cemeteries, I just really wanted to ask a question that came up at one of the community meetings we went to at Geranium, which was, and you're not going to have first-hand knowledge, I'm not sure whether it's been researched, so Jason might be able to answer as well, but the feedback at the meeting was that somewhere in history, the community being told that the Paraquet Cemetery was going to be shut. They're not happy with that, obviously. It's still an active cemetery and is the only one at that end of our district. And so I guess I'm not asking for a response now, but I am asking for it to be, we need a response back to that, because that's something we need to get back to them as, is that an active policy of council or is that an ongoing active cemetery? We need to answer that question, because certainly it should be. But apparently a previous CEO had told them that it was going to be shut down, and they're still feeling that quite a bit. So that's probably more a request for future guidance, that we actually get confirmation on that.
Through the chair, we'll take cemetery requests via the public. If that's Paraquet, then we'll definitely take it on board, unless council tells us that they no longer want to intern ashes or burials, or they close it. So at this stage, it is an active cemetery until otherwise. So if you can reassure
us. We told them I hadn't heard or known anything about that, so it was a surprise to me, but it wasn't a surprise to Neville. He'd heard it and the CEO at the time had done it. So we just wanted to clarify that that is the case, that it's an ongoing active cemetery and there are no plans, certainly no plans I was aware of to close it, nor would there be. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Turrigat Well, I read that report once I got the pins out of my eyes. I just wanted to clarify, is there not an opportunity for us as an interim to put some kind of speed humps and speed restriction? Because one of the big factors is obviously speed, and signs don't cut it, but speed humps do. And I know it's truck traffic, but I mean, is it something that could be done in the short term? Because this is not going to be it's not going to be fixed tomorrow, regardless of what it is. And originally, I believe there was 3 options of what could be done there.
I've got a copy of those.
And one of the requests was, could it not be put to a T intersection and make them stop and turn? And feedback was that I was told, no, it's not possible, but I don't understand why it's not. If you had speed humps up the other side of the hill that made them slow down to a T intersection, even though the minor road's on the left and the major road continues on the right, they've still got to stop and turn. And there are plenty of examples of major roads turning. So to me, that is...
The best thing is to go straight through the straight through the soak, like just do it.
Well, but if you look at this, I mean, if you look at the pictures there, I mean, the changes to do that would be very minimal.
Yeah,
because it's already there.
I know it'd be more expensive.
Yeah, it was always a T crossing years ago, and it should have stayed as a T
If it was, so I'm not asking for a decision. I just wanted to put it out there that in reading the report, I thought, geez, if you could put speed humps and turn into a T intersection, it fixes it for a fairly minimal cost. Because even with black spot funding, I think last time we borrowed or contributed 1.1 or 1.7 million ourselves to that intersection remodel. It still cost council not that long ago a lot of money. To come up with that again, I bet you it'd be another couple of $1 million contribution, which is just problematic.
And the report is wrong on page 212. It's got the heavy vehicles are turning right in a southeasterly direction. They're going southwesterly, not southeast. And another thing is people coming from Piper Road and turning to go down Turrigat Hill, Well Road. The camber on the road is wrong. If you go there with the stock crate and turn a semi-trailer, you're turning with a semi leaning over the wrong way, and you'll have trucks. We'll have trucks turning over from that way.
The other way.
Yeah, and I reckon it's just totally wrong. It should have been put back it's done proper. So,
yeah, and I've just got one more, and then I'll come back.
Yeah.
I've just lost it because I went over there. You go for yours, mate.
Sure.
I've lost it. Yeah, I've lost it.
Just quickly, mate, that the rock that I talked to you about on Oster Road after it was graded, about putting rock down.
Yes.
They're going to need a lot more now. You're going to have to go back out and have a look at it because it's all blown out a lot more because of the rain. So each day that rock's not getting put in those holes, they're just getting bigger and bigger.
Yep, I'll take your comments on board. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Just through the chair as well, in regards to Turrigat Well Road, we are chasing the option of a defined speed limit, which there was a suggestion in the report through the consultant to say that if we were to sign up the approaches to that intersection as a lower speed limit, 100 k's or 80 k's, that may have some impact on reducing the
40
traffic speeds.
40.
20. In terms of the advisory speed, we need to ensure that the highest vehicle goes around there at that speed, and therefore that's why the signage is being looked at, as well as the curve/bend signage. So there's a number of things. Also, we did have a meeting with Department of Transport earlier this month, and we did ask a question about speed zones, which we will follow up prior to the next meeting.
No worries. Thank you, Ben. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Thanks for your report, Ben. Hope you feel better soon. 11.8, page 227, Property and Development Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the recommendations council received and note this report. Couple of highlights. We had to replace a hot water service in Unit 2, which died on us. We've also doing some plumbing work at 37 Railway Terrace, which will come out of the capital budget we have there. So, which we had just received the plumbing quote for that, so we'll get onto that very shortly. The dishwasher installation we'll talk about later. You would see that we've received a quote back from Liquid Pacific with regards to the building asset management plan. Obviously, it's a bit more than we were originally aiming for, so we're in negotiations with them to take a few things out. You would have seen the proposed quote, I think, in the attachments. So if you've got questions there, I'm hoping they're answered in there. And yeah, they've got back to us 2 days ago to say that they are working on that, and hopefully we'll have that soon. Animal management, we're still working on the current case that's at SACAT. Hopefully that'll go back to court soon, or back to the tribunal soon. And what else have we got in here? We've been in communication with both ministers with regards to the revocation of community land. So we've got some more communication back on Monday that we will continue to work with them on. So hopefully we'll get a resolution to those parcels soon. We've rolled out a few permits for this year. We're working with multiple or responding to multiple customers with inquiries to feral cat management in the two major towns. It is a increasing problem that we are working on a solution for, but that is not going to be a quick solution. I just want to put that out there. This is going to take a while for us to figure out how we're going to do this. So we are working with a contractor with regards to what they can potentially do for us, but even they have to bounce through a few hoops, given that they're in town as opposed to out of town cats. So that's a work in progress. We'll keep going on that. We've been dealing with some lease and licenses, which you'll see in the report, and working with the tennis club with regards to a new ground lease there. We've got an issue with regards to their meter box, which we're also working our way through as well. And we've had the EHOs down from Murray Bridge to do food safety inspections, which you would have seen with regards to the Pinaroo Institute kitchen. And yeah, I guess that's the abandoned vehicle, which will hopefully be disappeared soon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you about.
Yes. We have finally got in contact with the owner. They have delivered the keys to someone who will remove it sooner rather than later. I'm hoping either by the end of this week or early next week.
Still got stolen, or just leave it there?
They ended up in hospital, so that's why it got abandoned. And so
end up with a flat tire.
Yes, but we have found them through the help of the local constabulary. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I think with this one, it might be smart to separate. Do you want to, what's attachments? Well, it's only reports. So, oh no, it is. We've got to note them. Yeah, receive and note the reports. So we might as well move that and then second, and then we can talk to them. Chris, Luke, anything, Chris?
What was the delivery assistance compliance guidance for development inquiry regarding change of land use?
We've had a couple of communications with individuals with regards to change of land use on their blocks.
Yeah.
So in both cases, it's complex. So we've passed those on to our development officer.
We need to. Are they town ones or out of town ones?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, we got a bit of work to do there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is what with other applications there. No.
Yeah, I just wondered whether they were what we've been talking about.
Yeah, probably.
I think one of them is, and another one's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of them's probably mine.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Dan,
right. So there's
land use out there.
still large issues there working through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for me.
That's it, David. No. Campbell.
Just for the tennis courts, what's the plan with the unused courts? Just turn it back into park, is it?
That's potentially the option, yeah. So, we're working through with regards to shifting fences and there are issues there so that we need to address. I'll leave it at that in public forum, but at this point.
Yeah. What don't we have to do issues with? Not much.
Yeah.
This room's pretty good.
Anything else, Tim?
No, I'm good.
I just wondered what Historical Society got new carpets, or was it?
That was part of the redevelopment there. So we painted the outside, or pressure washed and painted the outside. Now we're doing the inside. So that's the continuation of that project.
Okay. Yep.
Which was carpets and the roof to try and fix that leak, which we are still chasing, to be quite honest. We found a whole heap of mould in a new place. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it all seems pretty good. And my wife wants to get in contact with you as well.
Talk pictures.
With Bridges. So she's doing a thing now so I know we've got a few fridges around the place. There's a thing that you pay $33 and it's a grant thing and councils are open to it. And you just got to go to Adelaide and pick them up, and they will supply a brand new fridge like we got down there for $33.
Ironically, that just caused a major issue for me today, so that might be very.
So yeah, I'll get Elise
if you
to
can
talk to
get me
you.
some information. I'll be happy to look into that.
She's going to pick up a couple for the Show Society, so it's anyone out there as well. There's fridges for $30.
Don't tell me that, just paid 5,000. Anyway, you have a few questions, as I would. The dishwasher for Pinaroo, I just reading the other report. Is there currently a commercial grade hot water washer in situ down there? Because reading, and I'm only talking about this because I've had to do it myself. Commercial dishwasher runs at 85 degrees, domestic at 65 degrees. The piping, if it's PVC, can't take 85 degrees. So it cost me as much as the dishwasher to actually get the plumbing to take it. And then I had to have a grease trap installed to take the stuff that was going through a commercial dishwasher. So I just wanted to, because I read the quotes, and obviously in there it's here's this, but then if we find it needs any other works, that's on top. And I can tell you from a first-hand example of how quickly that pushes out. And I want to make sure we're considering the total before we approve the first sum, because otherwise we'll be coming back for the same amount of money again or more, because putting in the grease trap was the biggest problem I had. And I can't imagine how you would possibly put, so what you'd have to do is go from the dishwasher to a grease trap, lower the temperature of the water, and then go out through the existing drain. So you'd have to have catchment tanks and all that sort of stuff, which gets very problematic as opposed to washing the dishes in the sink.
It is something that I wanted to address with Ben with that, and it's the other reason why I want to look at potentially us sourcing the dishwasher first, so that there is more money.
Well, I think it's just, so my point is about being cautious about what the total solution is and know whether you've got to do any of this other work, because you may not be able to install a grease trap.
No.
You know, my grease trap got dug into the ground, well, you can't do that here. So I'm not saying I don't want to do the thing. I'm saying make sure we're aware of the big picture before we go and sign up to something. And I've got a quote for you. But the same one I got.
Can I have another question? You've got the leases on here, and we've got one. The Geranium Bowling Club is they own their own building, don't they?
Yeah.
And what do they lease then for the council?
Don't know.
For the land. The land. They own the building and the facility, not the land.
It's like most of the clubs, we own the land, they own the buildings.
Okay,
Which is problematic when they leave and they don't have
an
agreement in place.
Oh, right. So I thought Geranium owned the whole thing. But
So can I have my time back now, please? Can I have my time back now, please? Thank you. I had the same question about the carpet juster that was included in the 4276, which was the original sum, and it wasn't additional works. The next one under that is Southern Mallee District Council quote from Liquid Pacific. That one threw me a little bit because the original motion, which was mine in January 2024, put aside $20,000 to do 7 buildings, and we nominated the 7 buildings. That carried over and was nominated as complete in November 24, and we stopped that one saying we'd engaged a contractor. So that was engaged a contract, but we were still told it was for those initial buildings, and the motion actually had been said to prioritise Pinaroo Institute and Lameroo Hall, so because we had big decisions to make on funding of those, and we needed to know the answer. Then the next motion that replaced it was Campbell's motion, which is still in here as not being commenced, which was about assessment, reviewing all of the building assessment to decide what we wanted to keep and what we didn't. That had the $100,000 that Lachlan put in as an operational expense into this year's budget. But that's grown into 36 buildings, all council buildings, all in one hit, which is why it's $148,000. So my question really is, it somehow morphed into all 36 buildings when we said there are clearly buildings in there that certainly don't need to be in that first tranche. And there are some that are quite problematic in that list. That we could be spending money we don't need to. So that was the first point. And rather than reduce the scope of what we're getting on the buildings, it would make much more sense to drop off a certain number of the buildings. And if that's already in situ, that's great. But that's what I noted in here. Like all of our council owned stuff as a start, like they don't need to be in this first run.
So for you, Mr. Mayor, I asked them to give me the most detailed quote that they could with regards to all the buildings, so I knew where we would end up eventually. So that's where this got to. now we're in the process of pulling off stuff that we don't want in this further draft. So that's the negotiation.
I guess I would just comment to that, and you may be doing it anyway, but you sat here through all the conversations through the workshops, and I guess that's the transparency piece, is to say, well, look, we did this because we wanted to get the total scope. We understand the project was this, because I'm sitting there looking at the motion that originated it was Campbell's motion, and that's hasn't been commenced, and yet it's leading to all these actions. And so I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, this is a thing. So if the report had have said, look, we're not going to do all 36, we're going to compartmentalise and keep it to the 100K, whatever, because I read that as being we're going to get a lesser quality report, not less buildings.
Yeah, that's the reason I have to put it in as a separate report, because we're still negotiating. This was just to let you know that we are still
an update.
An update basically, and we are still negotiating with them as to what will actually occur in that next trend.
Understood.
That's exactly right. Just to let you know that they're trying to fab it's 150 and we're not accepting.
Yeah. Well, once you get good at that, you can go on to the cleaning contract. Page 230.
You're working through that though.
Page 230, working with council's cleaning contractor to quantify the current build practices. I guess I wanted to reiterate, as I have in previous conversations, to find savings in council, it's going to involve lots of things, and that is, it's not just about what they're charging. At some point, we need to understand what are the things that are being cleaned. So we used in the community meetings again, you know, if they're down cleaning the toilet block at Geranium and free campers are using it and it's getting cleaned too often, we might need to say, well, okay, what does it need for cleaning for public health, or do we even lock the damn door? With the showers at Barilla, you know, what do we? So it's more about we've got to find savings, and that's one area where we can look at what are the things we're doing so we can make informed decisions about public conveniences.
Yeah, so through you. So one of the things we have done is we've engaged with one of the contractors with regards to how the bill's changed and why it's changed.
Yep.
So a couple of the things that they are now, I don't think we were getting charged for weekend work somehow. That was getting slipped through the cracks and under the previous accountant, for want of a better word, and they've started charging us because we still do get it cleaned on the weekends. A lot of the more used public toilets. So one of the things we're looking at is, so what is the cleaning regime that we want and what will meet public health standards? The other parts we're looking at is also how much time is our cleaner spending there? Is it enough time? Is the allocated time too much? What does that look like? And is he putting on his timesheet what we're getting charged for in the invoices? So, and there is a couple of discrepancies there, so we're working through that as well. And with the other cleaning contractor, we know that Barilla is getting used significantly more than we're actually cleaning it, and to the point where she's spending more time there on the day she is there, so that she's still not charging us for that at the moment. So, there is stuff we're working through with both contractors and trying to understand what service levels we want to put back into these public conveniences as long as they meet public health standards.
And I would say to that also, cost recovery, when we were at the Barilla meeting, they were saying that they're aware that trucks are, you know, that is a perfect location. It's got a shower, it's got a toilet, so they pull up there and do their work. There's nowhere for them to spend any money. There's no public return, but there's a lot of public cost. So it's just a matter, I mean, it's not a matter we wouldn't have the shower, but maybe it's time to have, instead of a donation box, you know, could have a credit card thing, the same as you do at a caravan park.
Back 3 years there, one of the things I'm looking at is a pay for use shower. So.
And not saying we would, but just saying these options need to be brought back.
This is one of the things I'm looking at.
The pub may potentially be open.
Yes, she did say that.
We were going to do that years ago, but we never.
Only thing is the truck drivers that are parking there probably can't use the pub. Well, they might be able to eat there.
I am getting quotes on a pay for use shower so that we know what that cost looks like and what the cost recovery looks like from our end. We do know we're going through more gas bottles than we have ever before.
Still surprised we actually paid the bill, but anyway.
Page 232, Barilla Combined Sports Club ground draft lease. For draft agreement pending commitment comments from club. See leases license spreadsheet for the commentary. I've asked the question a number of times and of various people to understand. First, there was a lease that was put in place so that they could do the lawnmower racing and stuff that they were doing, a license or whatever. Then we spoke with, I think it was Lachlan at the time. Yeah, it was, because I went and met with him to say, how do we get out the way? And from what he had informed us, the only way to do that, to enable them to do whatever they wanted, was to give them land use, like give them the land, which had a lot of problems associated with it, but started with that process, hence the expression, the what's the name, application. But then Jason had said that there's potential for a ground lease that does give them unfettered, unrestricted access, and they don't have to come to us to tell us they want to do sand drags or whatever. It's not under our insurance, like they've got free form. So I guess I've got the overarching question. I'm confused as to which thing do they need to be doing? Which one are we advocating for them to do? Because I've sat with the CEO of the day and put forward something that may or may not be right. They've done an unsolicited proposal, which council has helped them with, which again is sitting with them to do. But if a ground lease can be done, it's the simplest way, as long as they can have complete control without us getting in their way.
Yep. So the ground lease is where I am working on it, because at the moment the trying to undo all those parcels of land would be complicated and very time consuming process as well. So we are working on a ground lease, which we have proposed to them, which would look similar to the Lameroo Sports Club, for example. We basically say, it's your facility, you do whatever you need to do, but we just need to see that you've got the appropriate insurances, etc.
So they cover their own. So if they want to do some other activity there, they don't have to come to us and seek permission.
Sure. Unless they're trying to build something or something like that, where we go through the development process and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we still need to understand and approve like large scale stuff. That would be where I look at it. But if they're trying to do a different activity there, under their lease agreement and their insurances, as long as it covers it, then they would be fine.
Because we don't own the buildings on that site anyway, like most of the others. Because our concern when I went and met with them with Lachlan was that when they come to council, we've got our no hat on as per, and rightly so, we're looking at risk, we're looking at insurances, our insurance doesn't cover it, our dust doesn't do that. And all of a sudden we get in the way of everything, because that's what we do. That's we're governed. We get in the way. And so if we can not get in the way and a ground lease is the way to go, that is a much better option. So is that sitting with them? Like, is that done? And because I will go see Erica.
Them waiting for their comments.
Okay.
Didn't they got back to you though the other day and
No,
said sorry?
their meeting.
They said sorry though, we've left you on red. for a long time."
Basically, yes, sorry. They did get back to us. They communicated to say that they still haven't had their meeting.
Okay. Yeah. And they are clear about what they can do with that. I'll talk to Erica and just make, because that is the best option.
The lease is pretty well written in plain language. So, and it's a draft. So if they've got concerns and they want to change it, that's what they need to come back to us with, so that we can then figure out legally, is there issues or how do we get out of the right way?
I'll get in touch with her and just make sure she's clear on that. And the next one after that's the Pinaroo Senior Citizens Club licence. Again, I've had communications with Jason about this. We have consistently shown concern about spending money there and that because we don't know about what the use of everything is. And to see that there's a renewal agreement in draft pending signatures, Jason then said that we had sort of held that back or stopped it. So I was seeking which one is it? Is it held back or is it sitting with them? Because obviously there's a lot of expenses associated with that lease. We're getting back $1,000 in rent and we're paying cleaning, we're paying this, we're paying something else. I would have thought this is the time we talk to them about that, rather than just keep paying this extra money when we've got other perfectly good buildings.
Yep. So it basically, we negotiated a lease, renewal of their lease. So it's actually a renewal with an increased rent, for want of a better word.
Which is in the budget of $1,000.
So they had the right of renewal under that first lease.
Yeah.
Now, we currently have stalled negotiations, for want of a better word, until we get a direction from you guys. So if you want me to bring back a report, I can do that. I don't really know. I don't really have a direction on where I should go.
So what I'd said to Jason is that we should meet with them and explain what the costs are associated with this contract, so that they can see what the spend is, and talk to them about, what's the rationale of this? I'm not saying they're going to be out or anything like that. That's the council's decision or whatever. But ultimately, we're dealing with the fact that we're limited on resource. We don't want to keep raising the rates, and yet we pay, cleaning. I think cleaning, the note was, if I remember rightly, it increased by $2,000 or something. And it's like, so cleaning is double the rent, let alone power and water and anything else, just the cleaning.
That's one of the ones where I've got a discrepancy with what's actually occurring. So that's one of the ones I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the cleaning contract.
So I just think it needs to be something that's clear-eyed, because they obviously get to on rent the facility and do whatever they want to do. And, the rest of the constituency bears a burden on that. So, that was really, I wanted to clarify. So it is stalled at the moment until we go a bit further. And I guess then we can have that conversation, but we need those clear costs.
Which I've yeah, I've shown them the costs, in a meeting that I've had with them previously, so.
But you're saying you're questioning the cleaning?
I am questioning with cleaning at the moment, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Further questions, sir?
Let me just peruse.
When you finish?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, way you go.
Yeah, years ago, we used to put out a contract for cleaning and we'd get people to tender for it. Now, does that happen ever again, or how does the cleaning stuff go? Does it just keep going up every year? Or what?
We went out for tender and got one person to do the Pinaroo stuff and another person to do the other stuff. We put the tender out and Tenders SA, LGA procurement. We even chased down 5 other cleaners that work for other councils and other people that were recommended to us, and still only got the 2 tenders.
Right, because we used to have just local people doing it at one stage, but yeah, sort of, is it got too hard, or they don't do it, or the restrictions?
Good question. Don't know. Less people cleaning, I think. It's harder to get staff to clean. So one of the ones we're working with is an Australian-wide conglomerate. They clean a lot of stuff for a lot of different councils and a lot of different businesses, and the other person is local. I don't know the answer to it. We tried really hard to get more than one person interested, but couldn't get anyone. And I made, I don't know, 20, 30 phone calls to different people just to try and get some interest.
A lot of locals years ago, but no one's interested.
It potentially is something we need to consider bringing back in-house.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer at this stage, but it is something that you may want to consider in the future as you bring it back in-house.
So the last one I wanted to ask is this: it's good to have the report. I mean, obviously this is a change under Jason, and it's good to have detail, but we're not meant to be overly in the detail. It's more about, so I think the way yours was, which was line by line, was a pretty concise, quick, easy way of doing it. But I did want to ask Tony in his report about OH&S and risk management, was that we're moving ahead, kicking goals there and strides. So I wanted to make sure that in the assets side of things, in the buildings, and that one of the things we noted with the dentist building report was that we didn't have clear plans about assessing electrical panels and all that sort of stuff. Yes, there was leases, but there was all, are we compliant in all these areas? And now we've had the kitchen one done here, but that took some time to get that as well. So I want to make sure that down the track, and it is an operational thing, that we have got a clear set of guidelines about when things that, fire equipment, buddy, first aid stuff, the whole gamut that you do in business, that we've actually got something, we don't end up in that same situation where we find out there's a power board in a public space that's actually not compliant and has never been checked and whatever. So it's probably more of a, now we're in this sort of world, it would be great to make sure that filters through to that.
Just through your so every time I get work done on a building, I get the person that's like an electrician to look at if there are any issues that they come up with, so I know what I need to be looking at for budget.
So like a register that said,
understand.
this has to be done every 5 years, this is every 2 years, this is every year, this is every 6 months. This is
majority of that is, I believe, in Sky Trust already.
You got your trust?
It's Sky Trust,
right?
Yeah. And we do inspections on the buildings through Sky Trust.
Yeah. Okay. All good. All right, we're done. All those in favour? Against? Carried, thank you. Pinaroo Institute dishwasher, 11.9.
Right, sorry. Move on. How do you want me to How do you want me to do it? You want me to read through this, or do you want me
to... I guess, I don't know, it's asked and answered now. I want to make sure that before we say yes to that, we've actually looked at the bigger picture.
Can we go into, what do you call it?
Have a chat.
Do you want to put the recommendations up there, and then you can have
got to move it
and go. In there, go. Yeah.
Well, no, I can with the vote of the chamber, we can move suspend standing orders and talk. So I'll put it to the chamber that we suspend standing orders. Can I vote, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, carried. Thank you for 5 minutes. Righto.
Yeah. Do you want to? Do you, Shona, need to?
Oh no, I'm all right. You're all right.
Do you need to
suspend standing orders?
Yeah, just putting that in, but we're not going into confidence.
No.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm miles away.
Yeah.
Righto. Who started?
Yeah, not there yet.
Yeah. Well, I had a first question. We spoke about once before. how does the hall get used doing this stuff for doing the dishes and that? Because I know Lamaroo, I was baking there and they've got a dishwasher there and they have their 14 years where they have a country music where they do 400 meals each time and they never used a dishwasher ever. They used to do it by hand, like as I said.
That's funny because every time I have to do, every time they approach me, they ask, "Is the dishwasher functioning?"
Yeah, and I said it wasn't working properly, so that's what.
Well, every time they've asked me, I've had it checked by the plumber to ensure that it's still working, and I've gone there and checked it myself. So yeah.
To answer that though, we were produced with a report 6 months ago. That gave the hiring of both halls.
Yeah. I don't know where.
And I think if I remember, this one was once in the preceding 12 months. But Lamaroo wasn't much different because most of the times it had been used about 12 or 13 times. But of those times, the majority was the school going there and doing things during the day.
Not the kids.
But there were two large events that they had there, which was Tasting Australia and also the Country Music Festival were the two that were using it, and the Country Music Festival is now finished. So, but Pinaroo was once.
Yes.
Yeah. For that usage.
Because I just Parakeet have the entertainment evening every year, and we bought our own dishwasher.
Parakeet Hall is a community hall.
Our own industrial thing to do it themselves. We raised their own money. So I just thought, well, if a little town like Parakeet can do it, why can't Pinaroo do it like the same? So,
yep.
Yeah,
because Pinaroo, you haven't given that to.
Otherwise, Pinaroo can come down and hire the hall at Parakeet if they want to do it that way.
Yeah, but they don't. Pinaroo, like you guys have the hall down there.
Yeah,
that's yours.
Yeah.
This isn't owned by a group in Pinaroo.
Well, I guess that's where.
This is a community. This is a public owned asset.
Lamaroo's the same. They used to have a hall committee that did a lot of things for the hall, and Pinaroo hasn't got that. And that they took pride in doing stuff for themselves, and it's been taken away from them.
Pinaroo had that.
Yeah, it's been taken away from them. Yeah. Which is a bad thing, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
because I'm just against doing something like that. Going to get used once a year. Like it's just, I just think it's a waste of money.
It's really hard. It's really hard. What's the right thing to do?
That's my opinion, but
and there's no, that's fine, and you're entitled to your opinion.
For $8,000, we can send Chilo down there and do the dishes for him.
We can pay him else to go there.
I mean, you do the dishes for him, wouldn't you?
For $8,000.
Yeah. I'll come and help.
Well, let's just keep some structure to this. Yep. So the other, we'll just move around. Have you got anything you want to say?
No, Dad, sorry.
A logical question. Yeah, bless you. A logical question. So, that's a cough more than a sneeze. A logical question would be, if the cooking for that event is being done, and let's assume that's a once-off event, is that being done in the kitchen, or are they hiring in the kitchen for that?
We've asked these questions. I don't have answers yet.
Because certainly I'm aware from my investigations that hiring kitchen gets hiring dishwasher and that with it as well, but you still have to have access to a drain. So I'm not anti the thing, because I understand, you need a social fabric and you need some community stuff to do. It's unfortunate that the sports club will have a fully operating facility most likely. So no, that's cool. My biggest thing was not saying yes to this and then finding out it doubles. I can find that out first. Is there anything you want to talk about, Chris?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of money for something that's getting used once or twice a year. That's just my issue. You could hire a number of people to wash dishes for that event for a hell of a lot less than that.
Exactly.
Yep, that is true. The only issue that I would push back on that is if the catering company bringing the silverware, glassware, etc., has their rental agreement that has to go through a commercial dishwasher, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
If that's in the stipulation of the hire that it goes through a commercial dishwasher, then that wouldn't cover it.
What is there a event coming up here at the hall?
Yes, there's black tie event for that Pinaroo Inc. running, I believe.
Yeah.
Pinaroo Project.
Pinaroo Project. Sorry, my bad. I apologise.
Was any consultation had with you before they decided to have the event?
No. I'm going to put that out there. No.
And unfortunately, this falls into that bigger category of how many and where. It's like, you know, as a community of this size, I mean, you've got in each town, you've got a sports club which has got good kitchen facilities, but not such good catering facilities, if you like. You've got a really good hall here that's a good hall for them to use for that purpose, but the kitchen's not up to doing dinner service because it's not that kind of kitchen. It's it's an old, pie warmer style kitchen. And in the days when the Country Women's Association would go out there and just make food, and Lameroo is not too far away. I mean, it's not much different to here, really. So yeah, it is problematic. David, do you have anything?
I was just wondering what the minimum standard is you could go to rather than
85 degrees.
That is it.
I mean, I just went to the people that we've been buying stuff like Drunken Sailors, and certainly the dishwasher that we got, it's an underbench. It looks exactly like your residential, but it's a commercial one. So what it does is when you open the door, it takes those big trays that has all the gear in there, which is standard. What the Lameroo hall has is what's called a pass-through. So that's one you lift up and the trays go through here. It's designed for high volume. None of us are ever going to do that kind of volume. Ours, we've got 2 trays, you drop it down. A wash cycle is anywhere from 60 seconds to 240 seconds, and it's done. You still got to dry them by hand. It doesn't dry them. It heats them, it doesn't dry them. And it has bottles with the stuff, but it has to have, the waste has to be able to handle 85 degrees, and it has to have a grease trap, because otherwise you can't put the waste in there in a commercial environment.
And how much was yours?
So I've got a quote for us here, and that dishwasher is about $4,000, including chemicals, which is probably not too far away from what Ben's is. Because his is installed. His is installed, making changes, doing this sort of stuff. But yeah, the dishwasher itself is about $4,000 for an underbench commercial rated compliant dishwasher.
And if I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, the idea is that if we do something in this kitchen eventually, it's movable. We can move it from this position to wherever we want to put it if we do an upgrade of the kitchen down the track. Like, that's not just in situ.
It could move building.
No, we could sell it to the sports club if they decide to update it.
Potentially, you could do that too. Yes.
Well, to be brutally honest, I mean, in this kind of environment, it may be these are quite small. It's like a normal dishwasher. I'll put in like a mood around myself. It could be that you have one dishwasher that actually gets moved around between the 2 halls when you have an event, and make sure we don't plan one at the same both halls at the same night, because then at least the thing's getting used.
Twice a year.
So anyway,
and that's the only quote we've got.
No, there was 3 quotes in there.
So there was a hire. So the other thing, hiring just for a single thing, just to get us through this, and then it wouldn't be an issue. But I don't think that's feasible given the price and the room it would require.
Yeah.
And then I got you some indicative prices on other types of the same type of dishwasher, but from different places and different companies.
Yeah.
So you had an idea of what the price of the dishwasher was alone.
Yeah.
Which includes the same dishwasher that's in Ben's quote.
Yeah.
Now he's saying he can get it done and installed in the time that before the event is on. That's the time critical part.
Well, provided he doesn't find that you need the drains won't take it and there's no grease trap.
Once I get this a go, if I get it a go, the first thing he's doing is coming in to inspect that stuff. It just didn't. When he did it, he was going on memory of what's in there, because he only just did the hot water service stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is that you done, David?
Yeah.
Yep. Campbell.
No, we definitely need to upgrade it to the appropriate thing for liability reasons, cooking and all that stuff. I know a few of the locals have identified using that building for events like weddings and things like that, but they didn't end up using it because the kitchen was an issue. So I think if we did upgrade this is a good start. And then if we did upgrade the kitchen, it would get used more, because if you're getting married and things like that in the area, that is the premier building to use. Like, they'd prefer to get married there than the footy club or wherever else.
Church hall.
Again, we've had a number of people call us regarding the kitchen there, and we basically can't really say that it's going to work for a wedding.
Yeah. Well, and $8.5 is just standard price for a commercial dishwasher now.
That's the right now price.
Where's that money coming from?
All right. Well, it's
not in budget.
It's
on here.
Well, it's poor planning, isn't it?
At 95 at one stage. Sorry, I'm being facetious now.
Well, if you recall, we actually walked down there with you and said what was compliance related and what wasn't.
Yes,
And
I
12
know,
months
I
later
agree.
now, we have compliance related.
Yeah.
So back at you, son.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't
You
disagree.
opened the door there and I walked in, I'm sorry. Righto, we'll move back out of, do I have to get approval for that? Or do I just come back out? Righto, we're back out, so we're back in. So we're now considering the report. So approved installation of commercial dishwasher at Pinner Institute to ensure compliance with Australian Food Standard, blah, blah, blah. Investigate the feasibility of council sourcing and purchasing a suitable commercial dishwasher subject to availability, size, delivery time frames and arranging installation by a suitably qualified contractor. Approve a budget allocation 8656, including GST for permanent installation of a commercial underbench dishwasher, including associated plumbing modifications as quoted by River Valley Plumbing, if determined to be the most efficient installation method. If, don't know how we approve an if.
Well, yeah, okay, sorry, back through you, Mr. Mayor. Basically, if I can source one cheaper and get it here quicker and then get him to install it, that's what I'll do. If I can't, then I'll go through him and put a lot through him. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah.
That's how the if was written. So I don't know. I probably didn't make it as clear as I possibly wanted to, but
yeah,
that was what was going on in my brain.
Yep.
You might be back next month though, asking for some more money.
So, well, I was going to say realistically, all we've got to make a decision on now is are you making that the cap and saying we approve that, because that's going to have to go in as a budget item, which means that it's coming out of the surplus that's there, but at least capping it and saying, well, this is approval up to this, because you've got to find out, is this doable?
How easy are these dishwashers to move around?
If it's an underbench, it's easy.
Yeah.
You could take the Lamaroo one and use it. Yeah,
It's not under bench.
Well, it's not,
The Lamaroo one is a pass through. That's it.
okay.
But as I said, I mean, there's no reason this one couldn't be shared between the two
Yeah.
halls. It's very immovable.
Yeah.
It's the plumbing that's the issue.
Yeah.
And you've got to have, you're aware you've got to have hot water to these.
Yes.
Yep. So these have to have hot water already to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just so happen to have 2 new underbench hot water services installed there. So
Giving you the hand washing station that we didn't have. Right. Okay. So, so realistically, we're moving either 1 and 3 or 1 and 2, aren't we?
Hand wash.
Because you can't do both.
no, but so if you want to cap it at that, and then I try and get a cheaper alternative, and then have Ben install it, that's one option. If you don't want me to investigate that and just go down the Ben route, I'm happy to, and that's just option 3.
Yeah.
So it's up to you whether you want me to investigate a cheaper version if I can get one, or
I can forward you the quote.
Well, you've got the 3 quote, they range from 3.5 there. to
Yeah,
4.5. It's the installation.
it's the right money. Yeah, that's right.
Installation's what's going to cost.
Yeah, just get it.
I'll move all 3.
Yeah. Well, it's just he doesn't need to do all 3. He needs to do 1 and 3, or yeah. So really, 1 and 3 is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry. To that.
yeah, take 2 out because you don't need to do that if you're doing 3.
other than that,
Saves you more work.
Approved budget allocation of 8656. Yep. So that's moved by Campbell, seconded by Luke. All those in favour? Against? Division? Carried.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Haven't had one of them for a long time.
All right, back to me.
You just think you go through all those 5 months of, budget stuff and then we're doing something right at the end.
Exactly. It happened last year.
Oh, no, yeah, customer request system, Jason Beacon.
This doesn't affect the budget though.
Nothing that comes through doesn't affect the budget. It's always.
Well, not yet. So there's been talk about a customer request system using an app that does that's people able to take photos and send it in with coordinates on a map and what have you, and we've identified SnapSend Solve to do that. So I've done a little bit of research into it, and there's 2 tiers. There's the free tier, which gives you very minimal use, but it means people can still use the SnapSend Solve app, which I've got. They can take a photo, they can send a customer request straight to us, and it goes straight to council mail. And then our customer team will then have to put that into Synergy because that's our customer request system, that way we can actually track them. So my recommendation is, actually the paid tier is $5,000 a year, plus another $1,000 for a one-off setup fee. I don't think we do that yet. And I'm proposing, and if I can use the tech lingo here, a beta test of SnapSend Solve, which means we go out and we promote SnapSend Solve and say, here it is, download it, use it. And we do that weekly. We don't just send it out once and hope people send it. We send it out weekly. And hopefully we start getting more and more helpful customer requests through that. So my recommendation
is that geotag?
Yeah.
What do you get for the annual subscription?
You get the smarts behind it, so it'll actually it can send it straight to the person to deal with it, depending on the category. It can send it anytime it's updated, it goes straight back to the customer as well. So there's those smarts.
We'd have all this reporting in the background
and the reporting in the background.
It's where you'd want to end up if it worked well.
Hey?
You'd want it, wouldn't you?
Oh, look, I know.
There you go.
Went to some people, it probably just go straight in the trash.
Well, the reality is, well, it does geotag, yeah, right. So, but what it would also do is then you'd have that reporting hierarchy. So that would point out that, hey, Nufty, you've got a report, it's been there for 2 days, what have you done?
Yeah.
So that's what it would do instead of relying on a person to do that.
Yeah.
So ultimately it's the right way to go, but
we want to make sure.
Want to beta test it first.
Got to see how many people actually use it.
Well, it's good for a trial. We've soon find out.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So that's my recommendation. Endorse the free trial.
If we can get Neville on it, we'll be able to get anyone on it.
You did right there.
Just hope there's no phone reception down there.
That's a good point.
That's a both version, free and.
Yeah. You want me to read the recommendations out? Or?
Absolutely.
All right. Recommendation that council endorses the trial of the free community tier of SnapSend Solve for a 6-month period. That's the beta testing period there, Ron. Authorise the CEO to promote the trial through council communication channels and request a report be brought back at the conclusion of the trial to evaluate uptake and make recommendations regarding ongoing use or upgrade to the enterprise plan.
So can I just ask, is it worth, because that's automatically building it into another business review, should we be running it for the 12 months and then making a decision for next budget whether you bring it in or not? I mean, it's not a lot of money, of course, but it's just we're setting up, automatically setting up things to come into business reviews of expenses when we've already just allocated, nearly 10 grand out of 172, then we take another 5 and another. It's a good idea. That's how we creep back.
Yeah.
So I reckon it's the test for most of the year, not all of it. Maybe it's a 9-month test and a report comes back ready for us to put it into budget for the budget. Yeah, as to whether you want to go forward with the full upgrade. That's just me.
Yep, no, that's a good idea.
So in that case, do I have a mover with that change for a 9-month period?
Or at least 6 months.
We'll add 6 months there, but then you go into this dormant.
At least.
Well, then you go into this dormancy thing, and you want to go straight from that to
Straight into budget reviews for next financial year.
Yep.
A mover? Yeah, Chris. Seconder, Luke. Anyone else want to speak to it?
That's fine.
No. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Bothering again, dude.
Right.
11 reports, electrical supply contract under 160 kilometres an hour.
Again, that's me.
Correct. God we trust, the rest pay power.
Right. So LGA procurement on behalf of 64 participating councils, of which Southern Valley was one of them, went out for tender for electrical supply contract, and this is what came back. So basically it's no increase is what it says, which is something, I guess, for electricity to not be jumping up by 5, 10, 15%. So if you have a look at the financial and resource implications there, you can see years 1, 2, and 3, there's small savings, then after that there isn't. So that's why the recommendation is to endorse and bring into the 3-year electricity supply contract with Origin Energy, who won the contract. And and use electricity for small use electricity sites under the LGA procurement process commencing 1 July 2025.
Is this rate right? You've got written here. I said it was 9 cents. It says 9 cents.
Yeah, reduced off-peak, Origin's reduced off-peak.
Yeah.
But the subsidised rate, the normal rate's like 40 cents if you keep on going.
Well, that's 15 at that house.
Yeah, but you're on pension rate, though, aren't you?
No. No, I can't get on the pension. Get real.
So their peak is current rates, their peak year one, 48.99. Then 41.21 for shoulder, off peak 22.9, standing charge 78 cents a day.
And it's a good opportunity for us. Looking financial sustainability is how we can move everything to off-peak, not just most of it.
I think in the next year or so, there's going to be a lot more than that. It's got to be looking at LED lights and solar on buildings and batteries and all kinds of things. I mean, we've got access to funding as well.
We've had this before. We've been council's been on this deal before.
Yeah, sure.
Supposedly last time it changed when it went away to the one that Martin Borges had negotiated with a private group away from there, but then he's gone, not doing it again.
Batteries, you can only have so much solar here.
Yeah.
Don't move the batteries.
Yeah.
5 kilowatts on them.
That depends if you're on 3-phase or single phase.
So your 3-year plan?
Yeah, that was a recommendation. You can see from the numbers there.
Yeah. David Mover.
I'll move it.
Yep, Neville, seconder. David, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit tired. What are they proposing? What's the regular rate they're proposing?
The rate?
Like,
It's in a graph on the page 275.
Yeah, so that's got our current usage, our current cost. And then based on our current usage, what's going to be the price? What's it going to cost us in year 1, 2, and 3?
So basically their peak is dearer, but it returns when you get things off peak, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and 47% of us is of ours is off peak.
Off-peak, that's right.
Yeah,
and that's where we'll claw it back.
Well, as Jason just said, the more things we can move to off peak.
Yeah, the more we can analyse it now. Yeah.
So when it comes to the golf pumps.
Yeah, that goes in. Well,
water at night.
So water at night.
Water at night. Well, they do.
Yeah.
Do anyway. Yeah, are they going to save? Are we going to save much more being on here from what they currently are?
I don't know.
But all we could do is find out what their power is.
Yeah.
Did we look at just going to AGL or something like that? Do we have any comparison for that?
We haven't, no.
Is that an option?
This was something that was done before my time that I've just got. And
This is a whole LGA.
Yeah, this is 64 councils.
So getting in together.
We've been on
Not just us.
Yeah.
It's just that I did sign up for a contract this week with one of my properties, a new connection, commercial, and I think it was cheaper than these rates we're getting here. So
About to go up too.
it wasn't much cheaper, but I think it was.
I think what you're saying, this is a fixed contract, so there is no price increases.
Yeah, that's right. This is what they've said. This is what we're signing up for.
So I guess that's the difference, is it's not open to change. It's fixed. But yeah.
But it's only going up, it never comes down, does it?
No.
No, not that much difference. So
I'm just going to leave it in the lap of the in Jason we trust.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Righto. All those in favour? Against? Gary, thank you very much. Stop laughing, Jason. Yeah. Status report 11.12, page 276.
Resolution status report. So recommendation is to receive and note the contents of this report and determine that the resolutions identified in attachment 1 as completed have been accomplished and no further status reports will be provided on those solutions. I'm taking all of these as read. I do have movement on one of them in confidential.
Yeah, I had none to raise.
Yeah.
Mover.
Yeah.
Seconder Luke.
Yeah.
Anyone have any issues with that? Chris, do you want to wait till you can see? No, you're happy?
No, not from what I read.
All those in favour?
I didn't see.
No, it's still flicking. I can see thumbs flicking everywhere.
I was looking for the next page, but yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I'm watching the flickers just to make sure.
Yeah, we're just checking through. I didn't have any.
Yeah, I checked the completed and couldn't see anything that wasn't completed, which is all that we're looking for.
I'm just waiting for the stuff without notice. Oh, normally he's got something.
You need glasses, Chris. Squint up both them.
Video and then I-
I've got a problem in my eyes.
I know. We're off. All those in favour?
Oh, sorry, I moved. He's the movement second.
Neville, like. Righto, Chief Executive, CEO update. Page 292.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My update. So I've listed my meetings there. The two big ones that I wanted to mention were the local government AI conference and the local government conference and ordinary general meeting the following day. The AI conference was okay. I'm glad we got it for free. It was typical local government, so there was about 2 hours on the cool stuff. On this is look at what everything's happening, and then the rest is, oh, make sure you're doing everything properly. Make sure you got your governance set up. Make sure it's like, yeah, okay, we get that, but show us the cool stuff and show us what we can do and how it can help us. There were some really interesting ones though. This guy from City of West Torrens, I believe, basically built their own chatbot, and it cost them nothing. And used internally and externally. So it takes in all the information into a large language model that's on their website, that's that they've reviewed and make sure they're not giving out false information or private information. And then you ask a question and it was all there. So if we had any question back up, just type it in here and it would spit out an answer, and it'll show you the article that you need to go, and it was fantastic. That was the highlight, because he sat on my table, and after that he got bombarded. Everyone just went around him. Other people are talking about boring governance stuff. Some guy was trying to talk about ethics and feelings and stuff, and yeah, everyone was more into the show me. Oh, we want this. You come and work for us. But what it was good to get in there and actually just to get the mind going as well, and how we can and how we can start to really try to think about different ways of working, in particular with AI. The LGA conference, I mean, Ron mentioned it pretty well, and that's what my paragraph says there, going, yeah, it was good, and I really enjoyed catching up with our side of the CEOs and mayors, and catching up and chatting to them and putting faces to names and all that sort of stuff. But it was pretty obvious that it was for city and growth. It was, so that was okay. Recruitment, I'm surprised Tony didn't mention it, but thanks for leaving it out, because I'm going to mention it. We've had, after a long vacancy, so we've got our managers for childcare in, and they started this week. Who are they?
His wife.
Yeah, and the other one.
He's one of them.
Yeah, and Darcy Brown's her name.
Nothing going on here.
From Underwood. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it's a shared role.
They're going to share
It
it.
is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Underwood.
And they've already gotten in and looking under the hood, and yeah, good. Bees come back and already shaking.
So if the CEO is not successful, he's got to leave on his own, because his wife is staying.
That's right. That's right.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Lucky we don't have HR as well with her here. The other operational updates. I wanted to put in these operational updates because this is the stuff that was mentioned last workshop. I just wanted to give sort of an update of what's going on with those major things that we spoke about. So Section 270 review has been finally received. I reviewed it. Sharon has as well, because she was actually here when it was all going down, and it should have been sent to the complainants for review. And then once we receive it back, a council report, of course, will follow. Draining and rubble pit, I'll talk about that in a minute. Building asset plan, that was Shiloh's gone through that a lot there. We have bought magnets for council vehicles, so you know that they're council vehicles.
Oh, right. On the door.
Put them on the door. Yeah. So we got, what do we get, 15 cars?
15 cars, 15 vehicles.
Vehicles. So it'll do the trucks and the utes and what have you.
Got too many vehicles.
Yeah, well, it's for people to lose them. So that's.
Any for a Subaru?
Just peel them off and stick them on the next car.
I'll put one on mine. Yeah, it looks a bit dodgy. But I'll leave it on there. We got them. I'll use it. Customer request system we've mentioned, staff level review I've mentioned as well. We sort of started that off, but it's been a little bit on hold, and we need to really get into that because stuff are getting stuck into me already. Pinaroo Retirement Village. So we actually received notice for the exemption for Unit 3, and once it's been gazetted, so that it's commencing from the date of publication of the exemption in the Gazette, the council will be permitted to tenant Unit 3 of the Pinaroo Retirement Village to eligible persons, and that needs to be reviewed every 12 months.
Yeah.
Basically, we don't want to.
Yeah,
they don't want us to put a family of 10 in there.
And as a note on that, I did double check again with Ben to, is he happy there with that situation? And he's more than happy. He thinks that suits him perfectly.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Being that he's on his own, he finds it really good place to be.
And I think they like it.
And he's actually having a bit of banter with the residents. Yeah, quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
So just so people don't think he's doing it under duress, he's offered alternatives and didn't want to take them.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Electricity supply mentioned, railway crossing. So I've spoken to Ben about it. We've just got.
Actually, you're still there, aren't you, Ben? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm still here. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
I forgot you were there. I've just spoken on your behalf, but that's correct? You're happy?
Yes, correct. So as I've talked about, yes, we've got, I guess, family relations where my wife does have to stay in town. We've got homestay students, so it's me alone. Unlike, I guess, having a big house we've got to look after, it's basically go up there, you work from Monday to Friday normally, and you put in as much as you can. You do lots of time. You're not mowing lawns and doing all the extra stuff that a house would require. You're up there to work. So if people are happy for me to work too much, then I'm definitely happy to do it. So
we just like you to attend once in a while. That's all.
Yeah.
I'd like you to stand up once in a while. Let's start with that.
Thanks all.
Ben. Business process analysis is a big thing that I'm looking forward to getting stuck into. Not yet commenced. And then we've got the
beta test that.
We will have to beta test it. Yeah, thank you very much. And then the stormwater we'll mention coming up as well. I have added customer service reports there as well, so you can see this is since 1 July 2024, so you can see what's come in and what's outstanding and where they all come from. I haven't delved into them just yet. I will mention that.
When you do, it's probably worth on that report, and I'm not sure whether the one that used to be in the reports had it, but there are policies about what the response time should be on those things. There are different categories. It would be handy to know, are we complying with those response times, because that's part of the system.
Yep. That's me.
So do we need to move that? Yes, we do, or you can, we have to move that. Council receive and note this report. Do I have a mover? Luke, seconder, David. Anyone got any questions of Jason?
There might be more for Ben, but Jason's mentioned it here. The railway crossing in the middle of the street here, where like the gravel paths go across. I've had a couple of oldies complain they can't get their gophers across there. Right. And I've seen a few mums there struggling with their prams. They can't get across. We can juggle the baby across. Just wondering, because we've covered the railway line, a few other spots, maybe just chuck a bit of gravel on there so they can get across.
Cover it over.
I don't think it costs very much.
Like a job for Snap Send Solve.
Well, yeah.
Well,
as soon as my wife gets a hold of that, you might be in trouble.
I think in addition to that, though, it's something that we've been discussing at most of our weekly meetings is when are we getting a meeting with Horizon? When are we going to be able to deal with the railway crossings? Obviously, that's saying still a live track until otherwise, which we know.
Yeah.
But it's how do we make the crossings palatable? I mean, Geranium is stuffed, Lamoureux is stuffed. Obviously, those ones have been covered over or removed or whatever they've been doing, but it's damaging to vehicles, it's damaging to things. And then you've got the private access issues as well. Private access is simpler because we can just put something there. The road ones are the bigger problems with trucks digging it out. And I mean, they are really problematic. And down as far as the Jaybuck.
Bad one. Yeah,
Well, it's the difference with J Bucket, you're hitting at 110 as opposed to, say, Lameroo, you're hitting at 120. But it's just something that needs to be taken up. And Geranium, as we were sitting at the meeting there the other night, the trucks just never stop going out there to Thomas Street.
And that's why it's added here, so it's always added here.
My wife sent me a message saying she can get over it in her wheelchair, so. Yeah.
So I just noticed this morning that going Croonda Way and turning to Cullen Bend, I've taken away the railway crossing signs and put a sign up saying rail not in use.
Which to me is the end of it. And that's what we've been seeking the meeting from Horizon for, is to say, when are you calling this no longer active? I was told they only get 6 years to be dormant, and it's over 6 years.
So this has only happened recently there, because they
Yeah.
had the crosses down there not that long ago.
Then it's up to us to come through the chamber and basically demand Horizon piss off the railway lines and fix the crossings, because it's their responsibility, not ours.
Yeah, they have to.
And we can't fix them without their say-so, and why should we do it at our cost? Because it's not easy to fix them properly.
Lovett Lane was a pain in the butt to get.
Righto, so all those in favour?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I can give a
Chair.
quick update on that. So Horizon have given us an update to the rail face interface agreement, which I haven't put to the chamber yet because I don't quite agree with it. In our meeting we had with DIT earlier in June, I did ask the question whether or not they determine it as a live line. Previously had discussions with the head of department saying that he's in his time as regional manager of Eastern Region, which is our area. He did allow the stop signs and give way signs to be removed at the crossing. Therefore, there's a slight change to the current requirements for that. If departments say that it's not a live line, we can then look to remove it. If it is a live line and we have to sign the agreement, we then have to comply with the access points, pedestrian and traffic movements, and therefore we have to deal with all the safety requirements for it. So once we get that, we'll put it to the chamber and then get a direction from the chamber which way they want to go.
It's pushing it down to us, isn't it, Ben?
Yes, it is. If it's a live line and if we sign that agreement, there is a previous agreement which was signed in about 2000. We then have to maintain it to the standard of a live line, which is all the giveaways, all the stop signs, everything has to be in place. And we have to do audits frequently to make sure that it is an active crossing, which theoretically it's not because it hasn't been a train through there for a number of years.
I was about to say, when you give us that report, can you give us confirmation of the last train so that we can kick up a stink?
Yeah.
So then what's the go if they say it's non-active or not a live line anymore?
Last train was
Are
23rd.
they responsible for fixing the crossings, or are we still responsible for that?
12 months.
We would be responsible for the road and the pedestrian access points. So we just wouldn't have to deal to their safety requirements when working around a live rail. So you have to have someone spotting, etc., when you're working within 3 metres of the rail. If it's not a live line, I would suggest that DIT would be pushing in as well, because they can remove the rail line and a lot of the S-bends through our Mallee Highway, as well as for us, we can then remove us. So there'd be a good reason not to. From a industrial reason, that's probably why they're hanging on to it. But there is a tree not far from Tailem Bend, which will have to be removed to be able to get a train to get to us.
Yeah.
So either way, they're not actually responsible for fixing the bitumen going across the railway line.
No.
We are.
Correct. In the rail interface agreement, council is responsible and liable for the road part of the crossing. However, we have to work to their rules to do works within 3 metres of the nearest railhead.
Yeah.
It's our version of jetties.
Which means everyone has to be inducted into working with trains.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
You're just full of great news tonight. All those in favour? Against? Carried, thank you. 12, page 297, questions on notice. Don't have any. 13, motions on notice. We do. 13.1, motion that council resolves to go to market for competitive tender for contracted services of waste and recycling curbside collection. Rationale is there, administration response is there. Yeah, I'll put it as Moved. If I have a seconder, Luke, and then does anyone want to speak to it? Campbell?
No, we need a price to compare to in-house services, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's good to get going now rather than wait till it's too late and then do something, so.
Sorry, I missed you down in there, Chris.
Yeah, no.
All right. All those in favour? Against? Carried, thank you. Page 302, motions of notice. Sorry, me again, this one's a bit more complicated. The council resolves to form a financial sustainability advisory committee under section 41 of the Local Government Act 1999. Purpose of the committee is to review the current operating model, financial statements in detail, asset management and long-term financial plans with the aim of reducing operating costs by 10% without reduction in service levels. Membership will consist of Mayor, Presiding Member, Deputy Mayor and 2 councillors, CEO, Director, Infrastructure Services, Corporate Services Manager and 2 members of the public. The terms of and reference of the selection criteria are being developed. The committee is to meet monthly or additional if required. A quorum will be 1/3 plus 1 of the total number of members and has no delegated decision-making powers of council. This committee should be ongoing until ceased by motion through the chamber. It should focus on issues and opportunities that are relevant to its purpose and should not duplicate the purpose and activities of the Audit and Risk Committee. All recommendations and advice will come to the chamber via a report. The rationale is there and assuming read. I will make one note. This was run by Jason as a precursor before it was put, before I moved it. I also consulted with Kelledy Jones around the legality of it. I also consulted with 2 other mayors from other councils, and I took a large part of the wording from it from an existing committee for exactly the same purpose, which has been formed in a Victorian Metro Council just this year. So this is very much, and they also have selection criteria and terms of reference on their website. I didn't want to steal that without talking to them. So we don't have to generate most of it ourselves. It already exists because this is an industry-wide issue. And it is certainly the legal opinion asked me to add in the reference to the Audit Risk Committee, and aside from that was completely correct and proper. So I'm moving it. Do I have a seconder, Luke? Open for discussion, David.
Seems fair to me, yeah.
Campbell?
Look, I think the intention's good, but I think it's problematic because it could be a great chance to be construed as elected members getting involved in operational things. Sorry, I'm a bit tired. Yeah, I think we're supposed to be doing the overarching things, not getting into the nitty-gritty stuff. And I think this is getting into the nitty-gritty stuff. We want a 10% reduction in operating costs. The method for us doing that is through the budget, through a specific motion, I think. There's nothing stopping elected members to giving CEO their recommendations outside of meetings. Like as noted by the administration there, it's going to be a decent drain on already strained staff resources. So in 12 months' time, we're going to be in caretaker mode. And because it's the end of our term, which means restricting what we can do. And then 3 months before that, we're going to be doing all the budget stuff. So we've pretty much only got 9 months to do all the other stuff we want to do. So it's like the road and building asset management plans, the land and building asset review, strategic management plan, long-term financial plan, reviews on the roads, waste, retirement village, all this stuff we want to get done. We pretty much, there's 9 months to do it in before we're back in the budget. We're running out of time. Some of it we have to do because it's a legislative requirement. So we need all these plans so we can make informed and accurate decisions on our future budgets and all the stuff we want to do. So yeah, so I think staff having to spend time and resources on this monthly meeting would ironically have the effect of increasing operational costs and decreasing efficiency because they have to spend time doing this instead of doing all the other stuff we want to get done. So I think the intention's good, but probably getting a result with this method isn't very good. We got a brand new CEO who already understands that we want great operational efficiency. I have faith in him. I think we should step back for a bit and let him do the job we hired him to do. And then if nothing changes after a decent period of time, then we maybe look at something like this.
Chris?
Yeah, points we're saying there. I've thought about that and we've had discussions about this, and Yes, it's another added level of security with members of the public often asking, like, with past CEOs that we've had, like, what power do you actually have as councillors? Like, does the CEO just do what they want to do at the end of the day? Are we got any influential? Can we change things? Well, we can, and we know we can, but this is also another outside set of eyes, be it financial as well, that aren't in the council realms of finances, to oversee things and just question, which helps us as a board as well. So I don't see it as looking into the operational side of things. It's more finances and keeping track of that and making sure things are being spent like they should be spent.
No, I think we should give it a go because I think it's another set of ears and eyes and ideas will come in handy. So I think it's any more ideas you get, it's pretty handy. I think it's got more to gain than lose, I think.
All for it, mate.
I was just trying to look up when I spoke to Tracy Riddle, she made reference. My memory was section 257, but looking at it now, I'm not sure that 257 is the right one. But she said we absolutely have not only authority but a requirement under section, I think it's 257, but maybe it's 57 or something, to get into this area, and certainly as other councils are doing it, both big and small, because we're all grappling with the same situation of how do we change. So I hear Campbell's comments as well, and I don't discount them. But it's I think if it's seen as a positive thing for the administration, because we're having the 3 people in there as well, and when you see the selection criteria for the outside people, it's actually looking for people with accountancy background, with something else, so they can actually help us and council translate some of this stuff. So it's not meant to be a punitive approach, it's meant to be an engaging approach, because we've had 2.5 years. Yes, our term is limited, but it's not like we've just started asking for this. A lot of these reports now that are coming are already 6 to 9 months in the making. So point taken and heard. So
I'll say something else.
Yeah, sure.
I think there's another issue with it in that there aren't any provisions for qualified or independent people on there too. I think in the administration response, they're asking for a bit more information about what's exactly is going to happen with these things. And I think that if the chamber was thinking of doing this, maybe we should outline a few of those things before approving it, maybe.
So my response to that would be that comes with the selection criteria and the terms of reference, which there are models out there that we can gain from, and they're already ones from large, like I say, large. I think it's, can't think of the name of it, but a large council in Melbourne. Can't remember if you remember the name or something. Did you? Yeah, something like that.
So 2 members of public.
Yeah, Rangers.
So they stipulate the requirements. So they're non-paid.
Yeah,
so we're not paying like audit and risk committee. But you can stipulate in your selection criteria what you're looking for from those members of public, so that they bring something else to the panel, and it's specifically worded in the way of needs to. It can only be ceased with a motion through the chamber. So it's as multi-elected member body periods as the elected member body decide in the future. So we're not putting a time limit on it, because we found when we came in, we were nowhere nufties trying to get up to speed, whereas this can be the conduit that carries over.
Yeah, exactly.
All those in favour? Against?
I'm going to call for a division.
Sure.
Right.
Yep. So can I talk to it?
We've got to stand.
Yes, sorry.
No, it's not to change anyone's mind.
That's fine.
But it stands to reason that one of the most important things that we do should have a committee about it. I'm not worried about the committee forming. I'm really not. Like people have got other councils I've been a part of. We had $25 million worth of plant. No one knew what was going on with it. No elected members knew what was going on with plant and fuel. So we had a plant standing committee where all of this stuff can get hashed out. So we get that, and I'm not afraid to go through everything with you, because you talk about the operational. I think that horse is bolted, which I'm okay with as well. That's what I I came in here with and mentioned that from day dot, that we'll open it right up. So you're not feeling hidden from anything. The only thing we've got is doing reports monthly, and what that looks like and how much administration time that's going to take. And then the other side of it is there's a lot of people on there as well. It's probably the two biggest things that I would just want to talk about. It's a lot of people that if we start getting too, nothing will happen when there's too much, you know. That's my.
So when there's
to be fair, we wouldn't have to do this if, you know, what we asked 9 months ago wasn't taking this long.
Yep.
And I'm having no faith in, at the end of this year,
sure,
any of that work being done.
Yeah. But I guess to ask specifically, when you say too many people, what would the shape of the committee look like in your eyes?
Mayor, deputy mayor, 2, and the 2 externals, probably 4.
And no one from the business.
Oh, no, the 2 externals. No, the 2 externals as well.
But what about?
So not two councillors.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Look, the reason I'll be upfront. The reason I put the opportunity for councillors on there was to try and not have it seen as, particularly in this current chamber, myself trying to drive something that's just me, because I know that's a perception of some people. So I was trying to provide breadth to it to say, well, okay, there's more people on it than that. That was the point behind that. I certainly see it as, you would hope you get to a point where this is not necessary, but the change that we're asking for and that the ratepayers are needing is not something that's ever been done before. And so it's not going to be easy for that change to happen, and we've got to play a part in it. So that's the way I saw it. But I
first line,
I would be more than happy for it not to have the 2 councillors, but I'm concerned that makes it very prescriptive from my side. And it doesn't matter, we are only 18 months away from end of term. This is absolutely going to should be a multi-term, multi-council panel. And the reason for the mayor to be the presiding member is simply they're the mouthpiece. So they're the ones to answer the questions when media are going to ask tomorrow, well, what's this all about? You can actually speak about it.
And they aren't making decisions. Everything still comes back to council.
Of course.
Only advisory sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right. This is worded so that this committee has no power.
Right.
It purely is an investigative recommending body, and it brings it to their, and I specifically put the 3 exec team members on there for that very purpose, because they got to absolutely have 100% buy-in to them.
It's about being open.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm not.
Yeah.
And have accountability.
Yeah. So it doesn't.
So I hear what you're saying.
It doesn't kill my spirit, because it's what we're all here to do, and what I've mentioned to the team anyway. It was just
it's the horsepower is going to suck up.
Yeah, that's right, and the logistics of it. That's all.
Hopefully, we can get some AI pumping out those.
Yeah, that's right. Watch out for the governance.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, as I say, I take that on board, but so I'm open. Look, it's up to the members here. I'm open to change the membership, but I had a specific reason for wanting more councillors than 2, and that was for balance of view and coverage, and not to be someone railroading it through. So I don't know whether anyone has a view on that. Whether you want to respond to that. How you see it?
No, that's fine. It was I just wanted to mention, I thought it'll be 9 people sitting around the desk. That's all. I just thought that was a lot.
Yeah.
For a committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've called for a division.
Yes. So called for a division. So all those in favour? Is that how we do it?
We've got to stand up. No, we've got to
stand up.
And they've got to write their names down.
Yeah.
All done.
I've done it. Yeah, go.
There we go. We don't even need to do it. Just filled it out. We can sit down
I
again.
did it wrong.
Well, you could have. You never know.
Someone could have changed their mind halfway through.
And against?
That's why it's
Doesn't have to stand up, he's so sitting. Right, carried, thank you very much. And I'm just on that, I'm assuming, that we will just ring them, I'm happy to do it and say, look, I want to plagiarise and get the rest of your shit off you.
Just do it.
You're happy, fair, what way, I think it is, why. Anyway, I'll ring them. Righto, confidential items, 16.1.
No, questions without notice.
Oh, question, oh, I've skipped one, sorry.
Yeah, only back of page.
Neville hasn't had a chance to ask any of his questions yet.
Oh, I did too, sorry. Questions without notice.
I'll say licking balls again, okay.
How are they going, Trish? Motions without notice? Confidential items. Pursuant to councillor Sassfield, councillor Sassfield. All those in favour?
I need
No, I need a mover, Chris. Seconder, Luke. All those in favour?
You're right.
Against, carried, we're out, and
Just a second.
thank you very much to the YouTube viewers.